Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Vote.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to be stopped.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome one and all to a Thursday midday edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular, of course.
Hello.
How is everybody doing today? Thanks, everybody, very much for being here. Got a good crowd to start things off. 505 strong in the YouTube chat, 210 filing in over on Rumble. Good to see everybody. The news today is not good. We're going to be dealing with some bad news today. So you may be wondering, well, what can I be thankful for today? Well, in a way, those of you who are not sports fans, who were not watching the Knicks game last night, can be very thankful for the fact that the Knicks pulled off a historic comeback, biggest comeback ever in the history of the NBA Finals, because it spared you a Knicks segment. I was getting ready to do a sequel segment to the shutdown drama and the police and the permits for the watch parties and the screens and no screens and the owner blaming it on Mamdani and Mamdani saying, no, we issued a permit and then you took the screens down. I was going to get into all that because the take was going to be that all of this went to shit when Trump came to town, and it did for a long while. And at halftime, the Knicks were down by 27 points, and it looked like this whole thing was going to hell. And I have to say, for those of you who are sports fans, you will appreciate this more than those who aren't. But if you aren't, take my word for it. That game last night, I have, liked. I'm not a jock, obviously. I do a political podcast for a living, for Christ's sake, and I'm a theater guy, right? So I'm not like the biggest sports fan in the world. I don't claim to be.
Hey, man, you just described Dan Bongino.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. But, I've been watching baseball since I was 5. I've been watching, football since I was 12, casually. Basketball, same thing, kind of a casual fan. I watch the playoffs and stuff. In my lifetime, I can estimate I've watched probably between 4,000 and 5,000 games across all sports. That comeback last night was the single most incredible game I have ever seen in my life, across all sports, across all circumstances. That was unbelievable. It was like a movie. When he tipped that ball in, it was like a movie. A 3-point shot coming in as the clock's winding.
That was the field goal?
It bounced. Yeah, it was a field goal. It bounces up off the rim. Oh, no, we lost. This guy flies in out of nowhere, tips it in. The same guy who inbounded the ball. That was a Derek Jeter flip play of basketball. For those baseball fans who know the famous Derek Jeter flip play, where he just ended up in the right place at the right time and cut off a ball and flicked it home to get the out. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen anything like that game last night. That was the most incredible sports contest I have ever watched. I must have watched the replays of those key plays down the stretch 50 times. I went to the gym this morning. Later than usual. I usually go between like 5:30 and 6 in the morning. But that's like everybody. Yeah, it's the best time to go. I, like everybody, was up all night. And so the gym was largely empty. So I was one of the more disciplined people there. I see some people saying game 6 and 7.
You staring at them show up around noon.
Yeah. Game 6 and 7.
They're too tired to break out the cameras.
Yeah, exactly. People saying last year's World Series 6 and 7 were more epic. I don't agree. I mean, those were great games. I mean, there have been amazing games, but 29-point lead was insurmountable until yesterday. That was the record comeback And the amount of back and forth in the last 5 minutes, even after they caught up, they almost blew it. The guy misses the easy layup. Then the Spurs get the ball back. All the guy's got to do is dribble. He shoots, and then Anunoby blocks it out of nowhere. Then he fucking inbounds it. I mean, it was incredible. I won't bore you with the details because, like I said, you've been spared a half-hour segment on Knicks drama. So if you're not a sports fan, be grateful for last night because you won too, because now you don't have to sit through another Knicks segment for me to indulge myself with. But New York, what a town, and what an event last night. That was just extraordinary. And we got some more business to take care of before we start. You got a video that you're premiering today on your channel.
Yes, there's going to be one of the big ones. I'm premiering my Hong Kong poverty video. The very first day I was there, the very first full day I was there, the first thing I did was a tour of the slums of Hong Kong. You may have heard of the infamous Kowloon walled city, where it was like Judge Dredd. It was just stacked up rabbit hole warrens, kind of like the old 5 Points in New York City, of people living in terrible poverty. And you can see there in the thumbnail, they tore down the Kowloon walled city, but these people had to go somewhere. So you got some of them, they're so poor. That's a cage bed. You got people who rent those. They have to keep everything inside the cage bed, and that's where they live. So about half of it is really the guide, who she was excellent, describing all of this and how the economics of Hong Kong work. And then the second half, I talk about the difference between what I saw there and what I saw in China. So it's a pretty interesting one. After this, I'll be going back to Thailand and then going chronologically. But I wanted to get this out first.
Awesome. So that is coming up at 3:15. That's when we estimate we'll be wrapped here. We will delay that if we run a little bit late. But I think we should be moving around at a pretty swift pace today. So let's get started right now. Okay, so folks, we gave you the bread and circuses, right? The sports and all that. And it's a good night for bread and circuses because this may be the last NBA Finals ever. So yesterday, Secretary Pete Hegseth says strikes tonight against Iran will be strong and clear. He is very impressed with himself, this guy. Like, this guy is the kind of, like, shallow fucking, like, chud. I'm sorry, the kind of shallow chud, first 15 seconds, who thinks he's nailing it. Like, this guy clearly just thinks he's nailing it. Look how proudly he's standing tall because he's not woke, right? Because he likes pussy. He thinks that's like the number one qualification to be Secretary of Defense, right? Keep your dick and balls where they are. Don't cut them off. And fuck bitches. And as long as you do that, then you belong atop the Department of War. You know, I mean, that's clearly his attitude.
And when you get called out for
himself,
and when you get called out for having a Nazi tattoo, don't cover it over.
yeah. Say you got a problem with that?
Yeah,
Wokey?
exactly. That's weak ass shit.
It's weak ass shit. Not in the Department of War. I'm surprised he didn't ask the lady in back of him to leave and swap her out for a white woman. Why is he letting a black woman stand behind him in the frame? Is he gone woke? Is he woke now? Woke Pete Hegseth? Look at that. Hope he doesn't run for office in Kentucky's 4th District. He might give Ed Goldrein a run for his money now. They're going to start calling him Woke Pete. Let's see what woke
they told him she's a prisoner doing community service.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to be here at U.S. Central Command. Admiral Cooper, the commander of CENTCOM, was going to be here with me. We just got done with detailed briefings, but of course he is busy because CENTCOM, Central Command, will be busy tonight because President Trump said we will be hitting Iran hard, and we will be. Because Iran has a chance to make a good deal, a great deal, to codify what they said they've been willing to do, and they haven't been willing to do it. So, as President Trump said, they've been tapping. You can see when someone's trying to tap on a deal. Instead, they're going to have tap bombs dropping on key facilities in Iran from the United States of America. And that's not because we want to restart anything we don't have to restart. It's because the War Department is prepared to set the terms to ensure that we get the kind of deal President Trump expects.
How far are they going to take this while insisting that they're not restarting the war? Yeah, we don't want to restart the war or anything. We're just going to bomb them. Yeah, but this is just us setting our terms for the negotiation. This is soft power right here. This is diplomacy.
Yeah, well, in the end, politicians going to politic. I blame the media. The media, every article you read will frame this as, yes, last night Iran and the United States and Israel traded strikes threatening the fragile ceasefire. What ceasefire? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you're the one who's supposed to be calling out how absurd this framing is. Your framing should be, in spite of claiming a ceasefire, strikes have never ended in the last 100 days.
Yeah.
And Admiral Cooper and the team here at CENTCOM has done a phenomenal job from the beginning on Epic Fury and through this blockade, ensuring that we have a chance to reach that end state, which is Iran will never have a nuclear weapon, which they say they don't want. And so since we're so close to that negotiated deal, if that's the case, they should step up and do it. There's another thing that was revealed today by the president that the press has not been aware of, but certainly this building, the U.S. Central Command, has known, is that Project Freedom, the idea of running ships through the Strait of Hormuz, it never stopped. It just went underground. And so there's some things the public knows and some things the public doesn't know.
Yeah, what the public knows is that gas is creeping up around $5 a gallon. And you're telling us that Project Freedom is ensuring that the strait remains open. That's what the public knows.
Ultimately, we've been protecting commercial shipping going through the Strait of Hormuz, as the president announced, to the tune of over 100 million barrels that have moved through and more in the middle of the night, protected by the United States in a way that Iran can't stop. They can't see it and they can't stop it. So answer me this. If our blockade is ironclad, which it is, we just disabled another tanker attempting to leave just yesterday. Our blockade has stopped almost 140 ships attempting to navigate in or out to Iranian ports. So if our blockade is ironclad, which it is, and we're able to move commercial shipping in and out of the Strait of Hormuz, who controls the Strait of Hormuz? And President Trump said it, and he's right. The United States of America controls the Strait of Hormuz. We're able to bring...
That's right. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Okay, we're going to take questions. Can somebody tell me, I want the truth? Because I would like to scream back, you can't handle the truth. Can we get a volunteer to do that? I look great.
I've waited my whole life.
Yeah. Look how Hollywood I look here with my top button undone and my tan and my tattoo and my sunglasses. I'm waiting my whole life for this. Can somebody yell that at me? When is somebody going to yell that at me? When is one of you guys? Can Fox News? Hey, Fox News, can you just say, I want the truth? Yeah, that's Pete Hegseth giving us some truth. U.S. bombs Iran for second straight night. H.A. Axios reports last night. The U.S. military launched strikes on Iran on Wednesday for the second consecutive evening. U.S. officials said the intent was to pressure Tehran to sign a deal, but the strikes also carry a risk of military escalation. See, that's what you're talking about. Yeah, bombing 2 days in a row risks escalating the conflict. Is that right? Wow.
I think so.
Wow. Where'd you get your journalism degree? That's some great analysis there. The big picture. U.S. officials said they expected an Iranian response, possibly targeting U.S. bases, as happened Tuesday. Tehran announced Wednesday night its military had targeted the U.S. Navy's Fifth Fleet in Bahrain with drones in response to the latest American strikes, though it wasn't immediately clear whether it had struck anything. President Trump has accused Tehran of playing us for suckers in negotiations. You got played for a sucker, all right. It wasn't by Iran. It was by your good friend, Bibi Netanyahu. That's who played you for a sucker. So you're half right about that. You're looking the wrong direction there. And said he decided something had to give. U.S. Central Command said the strikes against multiple targets in Iran in response to Iran's unwarranted and continued aggression began at 5:15 Eastern and concluded about 4 hours later. A U.S. official told Axios all targets were in southern Iran and included air defense systems, radar systems, and drone command and control units. So here is CENTCOM's statement here. U.S. forces complete latest strikes in Iran. CENTCOM completed additional self-defense strikes against multiple targets in Iran June 10th at the commander-in-chief's direction. CENTCOM forces, launched strikes on Iranian military surveillance capabilities, communication systems, and air defense sites across Iran. U.S. Marine Corps, Air Force, and Navy assets fired precision munitions on Iranian targets that posed a threat to U.S. forces and international commercial ships transiting regional waters. The strikes are in response to Iran's unwarranted and continued aggression. U.S. forces remain vigilant, lethal, and ready. Donald Trump foreshadowing more strikes and bigger strikes tonight. So this is Trey Yingst, who gives us regular updates from Trump, who I guess has a direct line to him. And here's Trump back to his old catchphrase: "We'll bomb the shit out of them."
And Trump, who is currently in the Situation Room with Vice President J.D. Vance, along with Special Envoys Kushner and Witkoff. The president giving new insight into what is taking place as we speak. There is an ongoing bombing campaign against the Iranian regime. The president tells Fox News that 49 Tomahawk missiles were used to hit targets inside of Iran, some of them as close as 40 miles from the Iranian capital of Tehran. The president said that U.S. fighter jets are also operating over the skies of Iran, taking out radar systems and air defense systems in the southwestern part of the country, close to the Persian Gulf. This is all taking place as the Iranians are trying to get the United States to stop the bombing campaign. President Trump told me that Iran called him tonight. Top Iranian officials and President Trump spoke directly, according to the commander-in-chief tonight, as the president was sitting in the Situation Room. And he told me that the Iranians asked them to stop bombing. And the president said to me, the bombing will stop shortly. I asked him what will happen if the Iranians do not sign an agreement that was put forward by American negotiators. President Trump said, quote, "We'll bomb the S out of them tomorrow night." And so the president is leaving the military option on the table.
Good plan. This is the Walter Sobchak plan. We'll grab one of them and beat it out of them, right? I mean, that's the only strategy he seems to know, and that's obviously worked really well so far. They're obviously really scared. They're obviously really deterred by that, and really motivated to make a deal.
Iranians are unwilling to sign this good faith deal that would ultimately open the Strait of Hormuz and ensure that they cannot advance a nuclear program.
Yeah, no, it's a good faith deal. We bomb you while we're making the deal with you and tell you if you don't sign it, we're going to bomb the shit out of you tomorrow. No, that sounds really good faith. Sounds like things are going really well here. Sounds like we are all kind of eating shit when we said the night this war launched that this was the biggest foreign policy blunder any president has ever made. You notice how every single time the people who are saying that when the war starts get proven right in the end? Every single time, without fail. There's never been one instance. Think about this. If you are, I'll lay off the boomers, because the Knicks won and I'm in a good mood. But, if you've been championing these wars your whole life, and calling everyone who criticized the war effort a traitor your whole life, don't you realize how every single time you've been proven wrong? And how this may have been your last chance to get it right, and it doesn't look like you did? It's just extraordinary. It's just extraordinary. And Trump just really brings the insanity of it to light, because he's such a buffoon. He only knows 75 words in the English language, so there's only so many times he could say, sign the deal or we're gonna bomb you. That's it. That's all he has, and it hasn't worked thus far, and it's not working now. It's just absolutely extraordinary. But he wasn't done. Here he is this morning on Fox and Friends saying this could be the greatest deal in history.
Mr. President, so I get the impression that you're frustrated with Iran.
I'm not frustrated. I don't get frustrated.
Well, I'll say it this way, that it's almost an ultimatum now, that there's no more negotiation at this point. You went back and forth with them. You gave them 2 weeks, and now they have to take the deal that you have offered them, that you tried to negotiate in good faith, or everything goes and the people can be liberated. Is that what's happening right now?
That could happen if we want to keep going. And, the deal is a very good deal. The problem with the deal is that it could be the greatest deal in history. They could wave the white flag of surrender. They could say, we surrender, we're finished, we've had it. The United States is the greatest power. Praise be to Allah. And they could do all of this. They could say it loud and clear, and the fake news would say it was a great victory for Iran. I mean, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. We're killing them. Just killing them. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft. You know, we're flying planes over the middle of Tehran, and they don't have no idea what we're there. We've knocked out all of their radar, all of their anti-aircraft. Much of their missiles, they have probably less than 20%. We think about 20%. Most of their launchers, they have the missile launchers, which are quite important. Their drone capacity is way down. You see it. I mean, it's way down. Their attacks are very minor. They're finished. And yet, the fake news, just like with the election, the fake news is out there saying, wow, Iran is doing just so well. Trump is doing terribly. I watched it yesterday, one of the shows for 5 minutes. I haven't seen the show in a long while. This fake Joe Scarborough talking about how well Iran is doing. I'm saying, where do they come from? It's just the craziest thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Great point. Now, hold that thought. Hold that thought for 3, 2, 1. Here's Trump saying his preference has always been to take Karg Island. Looks like this theory of us winning and Iran being obliterated could be put to the test sooner than later for all the marbles. Obviously, we hope to God this does not happen. But here he is, saber-rattling about Karg Island again.
Preference has always been take Karg Island. That's been, Brian knows that. I spoke to him a long time ago. Lawrence knows it. I spoke to him a long time ago. I said my preference would be that. I don't know that America has the stomach for it, to be honest with you. You're going to make a fortune. But I don't know that America has the stomach. I think they'd like to see us come home. But we did it with Venezuela. Venezuela's worked out great for everybody. We've taken millions and millions.
Can you believe this stupidity? I mean, can you believe the illiteracy of this? I mean, this is what people have said. People have said that the Venezuela operation was to prime him psychologically for this operation. You think that because you kidnapped Maduro and have God knows what arrangement with this new leader, it's not exactly clear what that is, you think that because that went one way, this is going to go that same way? Haven't you been proven wrong about that already, Mr. This will be 4 to 6 weeks tops? We're already at 100 days of this, plus over 100 days of this. You're still saying, hey, look what we did in Venezuela. Look how easy it's going to be to take Karg Island. An obvious setup. I mean, you're going to put troops on Karg Island and have them be sitting ducks and have them get killed. And you don't bother looking into this any more than to say, well, hey, look, it worked in Venezuela, so what could go wrong? I mean, this is absolute insanity. It's absolute fucking insanity. And here he is tweeting out this morning, the United States will be hitting Iran, whose Navy, Air Force, blah, 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 are gone very hard tonight. Yeah, we know. At some point in the not too distant future, we will be taking Karg Island and other oil infrastructure points and assume total control of their oil and gas markets, much like we have with Venezuela, which is working out brilliantly for both Venezuela and the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Well, God help us. That's all I got to say. Because, if this happens, then at that point, you are all in a way that goes one way, the wrong way. And it's just really extraordinary. I mean, if you were going to do something this stupid, you should have just done it right at the outset. Because now you're going to drag your country through the heart of a horror show right through midterm season. Like, this is just gonna go right through the heart of the campaign season. If that's what he intends to do, if this is his idea of bluffing and bluster, could we see another taco come up? It's anybody's guess at this point. But when you look at all of the headlines coming out of HA Axios over the last couple of weeks, and then you see what happened last night and what looks imminent tonight, obviously nothing is certain until it happens, but we've said this all along. This is why we didn't cover Iran on Tuesday's show. I told Russell, I said, I kind of feel stupid covering every single detail of this because our take is always kind of the same thing, which is that, headlines can be headlines, but the momentum is still headed in one direction. Now they're talking about Carg Island again. It's the most disastrous decision any president has ever made, and the more he doubles down, the more true that becomes.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of focus on Israeli influence. I don't think there's enough focus on the LGBTQ lobby. It is Pride Month. A lot of them are demanding pride bombs on Iran.
Right.
That's been, there was actually an op-ed. The greatest gift for Pride would be bombing Iran.
Yeah.
So we gotta look at those people too. The influence they're wielding over this White House. I understand Hegseth has instructed some of his airmen to paint rainbows on the bombs they're going to use tonight.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's an angle nobody wants to touch.
No one
Those
wants
people
to
are
say
too
that.
powerful. Those people are too powerful. What have we given, like something like $500 million to the gay lobby since 1948? I mean, it's out of control. Yeah, this is unfortunately what I have believed all along. This is not financial advice. This is why I pulled out as soon as this started of the market. I don't normally do that. I agree with the principle. You don't know. Market timing is impossible. Just leave it alone. As soon as this opened up, it was pretty clear to me. I hope I'm proven wrong, but I don't see how it ends without escalating to a point that is going to cause a worldwide depression at best. How would it end? Now Israel has forced her hand, right? So now you're in it. Now you're in it. Now you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Now Trump, even if he wants to accept a humiliating defeat, which I think he does, they won't let him. They've made it very emphatically clear that if he tries to get out of this, they're going to bomb Lebanon to the point that Iran has to respond, and it's going to make it impossible to make a deal. Iran is given the only factor that could change this dynamic is if Iran really is on the back foot more than we realize and not prepared to go out as a martyr. That is an element too. In the end, they could make the Middle East uninhabitable. If they decide, fuck y'all, we've been the only ones standing up for the Palestinians. Y'all have been taking the money from Satan and you're working with them, hoping to see us go down. You know what? Goodbye desalinization plants all over the Middle East. They certainly could do that. The only thing that ends this that I see in play would be if Iran is prepared to give up. And it just doesn't seem that way. It would be a surprise. Only if Iran is bluffing are you going to see an end to this. Assuming they're not bluffing, yeah, it's going to escalate. You're going to have a move. I would assume at this point they're going to try to take Carg Island. Look who's in charge here. Look who's in charge. Pete Hegseth would have gotten thrown out of the army as a liability under pretty much any previous administration up into the 70s. That guy's a joke. He's a joke. If you could dig up Patton, bring him back from the grave, he'd shoot Pete Hegseth. If you put him in his company, he'd shoot this guy. Like, you can't find a better emblem. And this is not a statement of America used to be great. I'm not saying that, but America was a serious imperialist. It was an imperialist power with capable imperialists at the helm. You look at a guy like Hegseth, I mean, there's previous generations of American military leadership would have been aghast if you showed them that video and told them somebody they wouldn't accept as a private would rise to Secretary of Defense. When you're looking at that kind of incompetence, that kind of arrogance, this kind of stupidity, and this kind of control by a foreign power, how would it end other than with catastrophe? Possibly World War III. You don't know. Like, if this tanks the world economy to that point, Russia and China could decide to get off the sidelines. It seems like as of now, they're playing it cagey. They have serious leadership that does not do things impulsively. They're watching this and they're sun tzuing it. Hey, never get in the way of your enemy when they're in the process of destroying themselves, right? They see the United States destroying itself. Do they wait for a moment of maximum weakness and decide, we got to get in on this? Because if these guys win, next is Cuba, next is the rest of Latin America. Like, where is it going to end? Where is it going to stop? And for people in this country, it's a conundrum. Like, what do you do when you are in the heart of this empire that's destroying the world? How do you put a stop to that machinery? I think that is really the question concerning, I won't even say just the left, all people of goodwill living in America now.
Yeah, when you say Trump would take the defeat if he could, I think you're right, and I think that
He tried.
Yeah, well, I think the what makes this so impossible.
And he would just call it a victory. He's very comfortable.
Well, yeah, you could just do. Well, this is this is kind of the point here is that at this point, if you were able to make some kind of a deal, which would obviously not be certainly would not be any better deal than the one Obama made. It would almost certainly be a worse one at this point. But you could bullshit your way into saying that this was a victory. I mean, Trump is very, very confident in his ability to lie to people and to bullshit people. Look where it's gotten him, right? It's made him the most powerful man in the world. It's the only skill he really has. He's not a good businessman. Yeah, he's not particularly bright. He's very, very good at bullshitting people. And he's a showman. That is probably doable at this point in his mind, and it'll work on enough people to the point where, he'll have his approval rating in the 30s, whatever, and I guess that's good enough for him. But you try and take Karg Islands, and you have thousands of troops coming home in flag-draped coffins. It's not spinnable at that point. It's not spinnable at that point, and I think he knows that. That's what makes this, and that's why I call it. It's an impossible situation. It's an impossible situation. The off-ramp is in plain sight. It's got bright lights on it. The off-ramp is tell Israel, you want Lebanon that bad, you're going to have to fight Iran for it, and we're not dealing with it. It's going to be you against them. That's it. It's as simple as that. That is literally it. It is literally that simple. Happen. But that's not going to happen. It's that simple, everybody. It really is. It's not any more complicated than that. But that apparently is not an option that's on the table. All right, let's move on along. You want to take some super chats and some Rumble rants there?
Sure. All right, Nocturnal Human. Just had a tornado warning this morning. This summer, it's going to be a super El Nino, which is good news for you on the east. Less storms for you. Is it? I like storms. Vienticus Prime, they're very dramatic. Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. Everything's hypocrisy. And so you don't comply. It sure is. Eric Rousseau, Trump is a jinx. Knicks won a thrilling comeback. Kami Mamdani, good luck, charm. Well, he's been at all the games, right? Mamdani?
He wasn't at the game last night. He was actually watching from a bar. But I think they mean Trump out. The Mamdani.
Trump out.
Aura.
But was he there that same night?
He was there that same night.
He was there that night, right? Well, Mamdani's like his son. He loves Mamdani.
Exactly.
Took all those pictures with him in front of the FDR portrait.
That's right.
Oh, George, awesomeness. CNN apparently just interviewed a fake Hezbollah fighter. Hey, Ralph, my cab driver just met a guy on East 5th, and he thinks that dude's legit. Good job, Herb. Let's get him. Yeah, man. Those guys.
Let's get him in here.
Setting the bar high. Well, they're getting ready for the Barry Weiss takeover. They don't want to get fired.
Right.
Me shoot skeet super sticker. Thank you. Cha Cha Daddy. It's a good thing Trump went to the Knicks game instead of JD Vance, or the team would have all dropped dead.
Yeah, didn't he do that twice? I know the Pope was first, but then was there another one?
No.
Who was the
Was
other
there?
one? I
Was
think
there?
there was another one. The chat will know. There was something else that he jinxed lately. Yeah.
The Anticus Prime. Get this 2 teams, 1 cup shit out of my state.
Yeah, Jersey, baby. Is that where the game is today? The World Cup. It starts at I
Did it
think
start
3
already?
o'clock. I think 3 o'clock today.
Is that the first game?
Yeah, it is the first game. I don't know which venue it's at.
I saw legit reporting that I think it's 180,000 World Cup tickets have hit the resale market.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
We covered that the other day. Yeah.
Yeah, but that many? 180? I think that's amazing. John from Minnesota. Nick's comeback ruined this joke completely. Hey, Keaton, Knicks better get Trump back in the house for game 6. At least they were competitive.
A joke from the alternate universe. A joke from the parallel timeline.
Yeah. It's like the man from the Hyde Knicks castle.
Yeah.
Cha Cha Daddy, if you guys were real community, you'd prefer football, aka soccer, instead of basketball. It's cultural, man. It's cultural. Just we're not into it here, man. If you guys were real communists, you would prefer soccer to basketball. Who said we were real communists?
Oh, is that what you said? Maybe. Yeah. Okay. So community was the autocorrect. Okay.
Communist.
Yeah, that's right.
I got you.
Yeah, no, I'm not a real communist.
I mean, look, if you watch my Hong Kong video later on in the premiere, I talk in about half the video about the difference between what I saw in mainland China versus Hong Kong, which I think is a perfect experiment, right? You got a perfect laboratory test of you take exactly the same people, same culture, same history, same language, and you give them 2 different economic systems. What do you get? So, I definitely made an argument favorable to the communists in that video. But am I a communist? I don't know, man. When somebody comes up with an actual definition for that, I'll tell you.
I will say the communist country that has sports correct would be Cuba for their baseball. Cubans love baseball. Yeah. So
baseball
in that
been
way,
very, very good to me.
Yeah.
Jolly Man Big Boy. Who was that Chinese basketball star? Who was that?
Oh,
What was
I
his
forget
name?
what his name.
That guy?
I mean, when you forget a Chinese guy's name, it's impossible to guess at it without sounding racist.
Yu Ming.
So,
or
Ming
something?
Wong, something like that.
Yeah.
I think it was like Wong Tong, something like that.
Fong, something.
Yeah.
Jolly Man Big Boy. Having the White House host a UFC event shows how degraded our society has become. If this was pre-woke, we could have had topless mud wrestling instead. Yeah. They might still. That's the pre-show. Scruffy Swamp Yankee. $50.
Oh, let's have the prayer bell. Thank you for that very much.
War Chief Pete Kegsbreath is technically my boss since I work for the Army Corps of Engineers. Well, not after this.
Yeah.
Since anointment, he has forced AI on us. Said AI loves to flag woke words.
Oh, well, that's great news. That's good.
That's good.
Yao Ming. Yao Ming. Player, yeah.
I almost
we
got
were
it.
close. We were close. Yeah. Yeah, we were very close.
Cha Cha Daddy. Instead of UFC fight, can we just install a permanent coliseum where the White House is? The opening fight, Hassan Piker versus Ben Shapiro. You know what? That would do great numbers.
And then Jeremy Lin, that was the other guy.
Very well.
Jeremy Lin was the other guy. That was the other guy, yeah.
Because
that's who I was thinking of. I wasn't thinking of Yao Ming. I was thinking of Lin. Yeah, Lin Sanity. That's right.
Kuznetsky was saying, Larry Johnson quote, Trump is BB's prison girlfriend. Yeah, pretty much. And finally, Eric Rousseau, Trump's art of the deal. Is this how he negotiated himself into Melania's pants? Nah, I think he just paid Epstein, right?
Yeah, that's what seems to be the real core of truth around that is that Epstein was, Melania was the Epstein honeypot. That seems to be the theory.
Yep.
That's the
Yep.
big moment.
That's
the
the
big
theory.
reveal. That's the reveal. That's the wedding ring in The Sixth Sense
sex
falling on
worker
the floor.
Melania Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was sent on a mission by her handlers.
Yep. And it worked out very well for everybody so far.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was a successful operation, you have to say. Got to give them that. All right, want to move right on along?
All right. Well, hey, how about that economy, huh? Wow. I got to, I've been telling you what my working titles on these are, but I'm going to have to bleep some of that out here because it's the first few minutes of the video. Trump takes break from kids, blank supporters. That's the working title for this one. U.S. inflation surges to 4.2% in May, up 3.8% from April, marking the highest level since 2023, which, of course, was the tail end of the COVID times. You can see the chart here. Consumer prices rose 4.2% annually in May, highest in 3 years from CNBC. The consumer price index rose at a seasonally adjusted 0.5% for the month, putting the annual inflation rate at 4.2. The core CPI accelerated 0.2% for the month and 2.9% from a year ago. The report indicated that much of the inflation surge came from a 3.9% jump in energy prices, putting the 12-month increase at 23.5%. And this is just this morning. So that was from the Consumer Price Index report. And now the report on manufacturers' prices just dropped. U.S. wholesale inflation rose sharply last month as Iran oil shock continues to drive up business costs. A little bit from the article. U.S. businesses' input costs are rising rapidly as the Iran war's oil shock continues to ripple through the economy. The producer price index, a closely watched gauge of wholesale inflation, rose 1.1% in May, lifting the annual rate to 6.5%, its highest in more than 3 years, a new Bureau of Labor Statistics report showed Thursday. A war-driven spike in oil prices was largely responsible for the increase in May's PPI, Bureau of Labor Statistics data showed. Wholesale inflation is running at the second fastest pace on record. The 1.1% increase in monthly inflation, which matched the rate of increase seen in April, is the fastest since March 2022. The annual rate is the highest since November of 2022. Of course, this was the runaway inflation that Trump was going to save us from. He's going to save us from the Biden inflation. Here is the chart. You can see the spike right during COVID, dropped back down by the end of Sleepy Joe's term. And, look, at the end of the day, he wasn't really running things. He was surrounded by technocrats. The technocrats brought the inflation down. They let Jerome Powell do his job. And here we are. Now, Jerome Powell's out. Trump has installed a sycophant who's very likely, I think, to cut rates while we have inflation. And we're back in the 70s at that point. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, unbelievable. Here is exactly what Trump's war in Iran, costing billions every day, is doing to Americans. MAGA used to call this Biden inflation and scream from the rooftops over this garbage. Not what we campaigned for, not what people voted for. Nation in decline. It would be a really funny plot twist if Marjorie Taylor Greene moved to France. That would be nobody would see that coming, right?
Yeah.
One person thinks the inflation is great. I think exactly one person, and that would be Donald Trump.
Mr. President, about the latest inflation number which came out this morning? Could that be a
No, I love it. The numbers were great. You know what I
Loves
really
it.
love? I love the inflation. You know why?
He loves the
Because
inflation.
As soon as this war is over,
Oh.
you know, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil? Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now.
Wow,
We
that's
took out the other night 22 ships.
It's mind-blowing.
Late at night with no lights, because they don't have any radar, because we blasted the crap out of it.
right.
We took out, that's why oil's $85 a barrel. I mean, you take a look. Remember when I did this, I said, look, the one bad thing will be, we hit the best economy we've ever hit. And I said to my people, I had Scott, I had Howard, I had Pete, I had all of them. I had Todd in the room. I said, the one thing we have to do now, we had just hit the highest stock market in history, highest 401ks in history.
Listen, the one thing that's going to be bad about this is it's going to ruin everyone's life.
Yeah.
It's going to make people not be able to afford their rent or their mortgage or their gas or their food. That's the one thing. That's the only downside to this is that everybody's going to be totally fucked.
You're gonna
Other than
have
that, it's great.
you're gonna have a lot more homeless. You're gonna have a lot of the young girls on OnlyFans, which actually you could. That's a wash, right? A lot of people like that. A lot of people would see that as a benefit.
Oh my God.
Everything was going well, and I said, I hate to do this to you guys, but Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon very soon.
Listen,
We have to go and attack. So we hit them with the B-2 bombers.
Listen, you know, we're going to
Yep.
just have to destroy the economy. I'm sorry. That's the only downside to this.
Sorry,
whole thing.
guys.
Other than that, it's going to be great. But yeah, as I said, look, there's the one thing I didn't like about this is that everyone's going to be totally screwed.
Yeah. Hang on. All right. I'm going to screen share that a little bit later. I didn't get it in, but that's breaking. All right. So, Stu Peters. At this point, I'm convinced Trump is intentionally trying to destroy the United States. And Jake Shields, 5D chess is knowing that inflation is actually good. Well, at least for Israel. Yeah, kind of losing control of the base there, man. Look at these guys were your base, not anymore. So one of the funniest things about the Trump presidency is the position he puts all his sycophants in when he says things like this. Like, how do you work with that? But Johnson, you have to be shameless, and Johnson certainly has that quality. So here he is responding to this.
Today, I love the inflation amid these high economic.
I knew somebody was going to ask me that. It was totally out of context. You know what he was talking about.
That's the message that voters want to hear right now.
No, the president is laser focused on the domestic economic situation. He is working to bring down prices. He is working to get the Strait of Hormuz reopened. We have passed legislation. He's used executive orders to get the cost of living down.
What about the economic today?
Everybody got their highest tax refunds they've had in their whole lives. They're getting greater paychecks. There's all sorts of great economic indicators, but there's still challenges, gas prices among them. So what he was saying is it's going to be great to have that number and compare it to what comes next when we get these situations resolved. That'll be a fun thing to consider and to compare. That's what he was talking about. That was the context. I was standing right behind him.
Are you worried about these economic numbers, though?
I mean,
imagine how people are going to feel when they don't have to sell their kidneys.
Yeah. I mean, you could say cancer is a good thing by that. Imagine how good it's going to feel when you're cured. I mean, just think of it this way. It's good you have cancer because when you go into remission, it's going to feel so much better.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And here's why am I having this problem here? There we go. And here is Tim Scott trying to explain away these numbers.
Last report is that inflation ticked up to 4.2%, highest in 3 years. Last month it was 3.8. The month before that was 3.3. The trend is not going in the right direction. But Maria, one of the things it signals is resiliency in our economy, which is, in fact, good news. Because of Donald Trump, we have more Americans with more money in their pockets because we returned to them or kept in place a $5 trillion tax cut, and your tax return is up 11%. So there's more money to be spent on household necessities.
All right. Well, let's take a look at how that theory holds up under scrutiny. Trump might love the inflation, but consumers are feeling the pain. Again, from CNBC, certainly not a lefty magazine by any stretch of the imagination. Usually, they'll tend to be very pro-Trump in a roundabout way because the degenerate gamblers on Wall Street tend to like these kinds of policies. They don't care if there's World War III. They got money in defense stocks, right? And they don't care if oil goes through the roof because they got oil futures. So in general, the coverage on this kind of thing from CNBC, including their core article about the consumer price index, was like, commodities are actually down a little. Like it was trying to really massage that story. So when they print something like this, it's pretty bad. The oil shock has put upward pressure on prices at a time when many consumers are already struggling. The U.S. Congress Joint Economic Committee minority estimates that tariffs and the war with Iran cost each household more than $3,100 from 2025 through May of 2026. Oh, there isn't more money in Americans' pockets, as Tim Scott would have you believe. They're not coming out ahead. Wow. Who'd have thunk it? Quote, for most American households, they have negative real earnings growth. It's hard to spin that positively in any way, said certified financial planner Stephen Cates, a financial analyst at Bankrate. Most of the earnings gains have been erased by this inflation spike. With average hourly earnings rising 3.4% from the previous year, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, wage growth now lags inflation. Yeah. So there's your wage growth, which has been collapsing. Remember, Trump was going to come in and bring back your lost purchasing power. But no, keeps dropping. An annual inflation rate at 4.2% means, quote, you are devaluing the assets and the income of U.S. residents. That is a huge problem, said Wayne Weingarten, an economist at Pacific Research Institute, a conservative think tank. To minimize that impact is troubling. With inflation outpacing paychecks, Americans' personal savings rate also hit the lowest level since 2022, according to data from the Bureau of Economic Analysis. Okay, so Tim Scott's telling you there's more money in your pocket. Literally, there's less money in Americans' pockets, literally. Trump's policies have cost them, we have a hard number, $3,100, which in a country where most people can't afford a $500 emergency, $3,100 is a lot of money for most people. Even once the U.S. and Iran negotiate a peace deal, the war's inflationary effects could take weeks or months to unwind, experts say. Gas prices, which have been a particular pain point since the start of the Iran war, may not ease that quickly, according to Bankrate's Cates. Quote, you are still looking at an enormous increase year over year, Cates said. As of Thursday, consumers paid a national average of $4.13 per gallon, according to AAA, up from about $3.12 a year ago. Wait, it gets better. The price level is what people care about, and the price levels are not going back to 2025. Even if we have no inflation in the next few years, which is impossible, Kate said. You understand? You know how the inflation never went away after COVID? Prices never went back to what they were. The gas, they're saying, is not going to go back to what it was.
And in general, just to stop for a second, pricing of consumer goods tends to never go down because people get used to paying a certain thing. Once people get used to paying $2 for the box of ziti, why would they make it $1.75?
Why would they bring it down?
Right. Why would they bring it down? Gas is different because it depends on day-to-day supply. Like gas prices can rise and fall. But in terms of the rest of the inflation, why would prices ever come down? And they're saying even gas is not going to come down to pre-war levels.
No. So this is why I wanted to include this. All right. So I'm screen sharing it, so you can see that, right? It's moving on the screen. Right?
Yep. We can see it.
All right. So oil executives warn White House that gas prices will get worse. This just dropped today. Oil and gas executives have warned the White House that gasoline prices could surge in coming months as fuel inventories fall to critical lows, complicating the Trump administration's efforts to contain inflation that has already rattled American consumers. Industry officials say they are doing everything they can to sound an alarm that prices are about to soar as the commercial and government inventories that have mitigated price rises so far are rapidly depleting, according to multiple people familiar with the conversations who spoke on the condition of anonymity for fear of retaliation from the administration. Some inventories could be wiped out within weeks, the executives have warned, coinciding with the peak summer travel season. Okay, so this is what we've been saying all along. This is the calm before the storm, man. This is the calm before the storm. You think it's bad now? You ain't seen nothing yet. So Trump might not be concerned about the inflation, but let's see how the American people feel about his indifference.
Where do you want to begin?
Yeah, I would just say, if I'm an American, based upon the polling I'm seeing, I hear the president go, what the heck did I just hear? What the heck is going on? One of the most politically tone-deaf statements I've ever heard, and you can see it in the numbers right here. Americans don't like the inflation. They hate the inflation. They don't love the inflation. They hate the inflation. Inflation net approval, minus 50 points or worse, 50 points underwater or worse. Total polls per president. Trump in 2026, already at least eight polls in which his net approval rating on inflation or the cost of living is negative 50 points or worse. Wow. Every other president in every other year, the answer is 0. Trump is not only the first one to reach negative 50 points or worse net approval rating on inflation, he's done it many of times. So when I hear Trump's statement, I feel like Mrs. White and Clue going, what is happening here?
A big aspect and one of the first things that people track in terms of the cost of living is the cost of gas prices. Yeah. How are people feeling about Trump and gas prices?
Yeah, okay, so you see this historic number right here. You know, Trump being the first one ever to get minus 50. He's done it multiple times. No other president's done it. How about an 80% disapproval on gas prices, which of course is fueling this frustration with inflation? Take a look here. The only president with an 80% disapproval rating on gas prices of all time is Trump. In 2026, you can see Trump there. He's pointing the arrow to it. Yes, he has done it. This Iran war has done it. It has fueled record frustration on inflation and record frustration when it comes to gas prices. The only president ever with at least an 80% disapproval rating on gas prices, Donald John Trump, in this year, 2026.
Yeah, and this is why nationwide, where we've seen special elections, you've seen just upset after upset after upset, where Democrats are winning in purple districts, they're winning in red districts. This doesn't mean the Democrats are great, but I don't think. Look, man, I'm not collecting my Social Security yet, but I've been around a while. I've never seen anything like this administration, man. I don't think anyone alive ever has. There's never been anything like this. The voting, really, it is a case where the Democrats really don't have to do anything. They really don't.
They're much better off not doing anything.
They're much better. The more people see of them, the less they like them.
The best you can do is nothing.
Just hide out. They should do. The whole Democratic Party should do a Biden basement campaign. That was actually quite brilliant on the part of his strategist. they realized, anytime you put Biden in public, it doesn't go well. And this guy is such a disaster, just hide him out.
Yeah,
It
well,
worked.
that's why they created
right?
the COVID virus.
That is why. That is why.
Just kidding, YouTube. Joking here.
Yeah, it's
we're
a joke.
We're
No,
joking
no,
here. We're just joking. This is art here. This is all art.
Yeah, this is a catastrophe on every level, and it's only going to get worse. Like I can only imagine people are this angry now. Wait until the gas is up $7, $8, $9. Man, you already have people getting priced out of food. Like
Of course.
it's incredible because I usually get pre-prepared meals to kind of help keep my my diet balanced. So I don't go and get the things at the supermarket that I used to get before I started getting those. But when I see the prices, I'm shocked. I'm shocked at what a steak costs now, or chopped meat costs now, or chicken cutlets cost compared to what they cost in 2019. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like triple to quadruple the price. How are working people supposed to pay for that? How are people with families supposed to pay for that? And I live in Harlem. So the prices at the supermarket are lower than they would be in other parts of the city. And it's still insane prices.
Yeah, you ran on lowering inflation. The border was a huge issue for Donald Trump. Huge issue. But it was his number 2 issue. His number 1 issue was inflation, according to all the numbers. That was his number 1 issue. You ran on lowering inflation. You won on lowering inflation. And the way you said you were going to lower inflation is you were going to cut out all extraneous spending, including, of course, foreign interventionism in order to invest in America. That was the core of your economic platform, was America first. You got elected.
And no more stupid foreign wars.
And no more stupid foreign wars, which was tied to the economic prospects of the country. That was kind of the core of MAGA. And you come in and you start the worst war of all, which immediately drives up inflation and makes it worse. You couldn't have done something more politically suicidal if you tried. I'm watching you run through all this, and I'm thinking, how is it that tens of millions of Americans hate themselves enough to say they support these people? Because they don't have a lot of support, but they have some.
Right.
How is it that 30% of Americans think so little of themselves that they support? Because this is beyond ignorance. It's beyond stupidity. It's beyond any of that. I mean, this is, you really have to hate yourself to delude yourself into thinking that these people are looking out for you. It's unbelievable. It really is. It's mind-boggling.
Well, appropriately enough, sports has been coming up a lot this week. We talked a little bit about, I watched a video the other day showing how people who are into sports get a dopamine rush off being part of a group in that way. People who aren't into sports tend to find that dopamine other places.
Right.
That's what it is. Like, you're down to people for whom politics is not about politics. And unfortunately, and this is why propaganda works, that's most people in politics, man.
Right.
Like left, right, radical, mainstream, centrist, whatever. Most people are not into politics because they're trying to solve problems. Not at their core. Not at their core. Most of them are there for group identity. And that is a big part of why you can almost never persuade anyone of anything. The only effective way that you can convert people is you got to get them to feel like this team is going to give them more dopamine than the one they're already in. That's really what you're dealing with.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And the internet and social media has made that problem virtually infinitely worse than it ever was.
Yes.
All right. Let's go to some super chats and some Rumble rants. Raven Lash. Trump, I don't get frustrated. I'm peak Zen. I'm Zen itself. In fact, I'm going to get a little Marco to use ChatGPT to make an image of me as the Dalai Lama. Dalai Dana. That's how enlightened I am. Thank you. Ravid Laz. Professor Brown note, idea, voice-themed debate panels. Team Gravely, Judge Knapp, Alex Jones, Platner, Chaz Freeman. Team Melody, Mearsheimer, Tucker, Richard Wolf, Norm Finkelstein. There you go. I like that. Kuznetsky Bassane, that whole Iran war propaganda facade will suddenly collapse. Thank you, Kuznetsky Bassane. John Olmsted says he's going to Taco. Why would we go through the economic pain for the last 3 months just to take Karg now? Why wouldn't we do that immediately? I raised that possibility. I certainly hope you're correct about that. That's all I can say about that is I hope you're right.
Well, because the situation is getting desperate. They're desperate. They're going into midterms.
Yeah.
The oil executives are telling them oil's about to go through the roof. So what does an idiot do?
Doubles down.
Sir.
Yeah.
We can do this. We got it. We got it.
Doubles down and makes it worse. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what idiots are going to do in a situation like that.
Yep. Ravid Laz, RFK responding to Trump. Speaking of enlightenment, I know the perfect way to open your root chakra. Rhymes with belching. Ha. Good one. Skyman, you want it to be one way, but it's the other way. Marlo, The Wire. There you go. Thank you, Skyman. I never watched The Wire. Everybody tells me to watch The Wire. Progressives, not leftists, are saying that the cause of all Iran problem is fascism from Trump and cronies. Israel is guilty of genocide, but ridiculous to think they have major sway over the U.S. Raven Laz, what are your thoughts on the longevity of the war if Iran tests a nuke? I think that might be the only way it ends, besides Israel being destroyed or Iran giving up. If Iran tests a nuke, yeah, I've seen reporting, right? Haven't there been some reports that says that they may have?
There have been. Some people say Pakistan might have given them one.
Interesting. I mean, I think, look, the problem, we're a broken record here, but the problem is Israel is just all in and never going to quit no matter what. So the only off-ramp is for us to just sever ties with them, which is a simple solution, but apparently an impossible one. Gina and Heidi, can't Trump say that he didn't want to grape those kids, but that Jesus H. Christ himself ordered him to do it? That should assuage his followers. Some of them. Vientikis, communists come together with you, Uni 1 is practitioner. There's your definition. It means nothing. Where's your textbook at, Vientikis? Somebody bought your textbook, Vientikis.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, somebody just emailed us, said they ordered your book. So there you go. You made a sale, kid. Ham Honk, looking forward to the Hong Kong video. I did a similar one in Singapore, and I'm thankful every day for a functioning sewer system. Interesting. Thank you, Ham Hawk. Area Hermit Woman. I hope DD visits Trump and Epstein reading room in Tribeca before it disappears. P.S. Sorry for YouTube donation. Rumble won't let me. They hate my hippie beads.
When is it over, man? Because I could stop there. I've kind of fallen into a pattern of shooting a short video on my bike rides and dropping them on the weekends. So that's when I go downtown, when I take my bike down. So I'll look into where it is. Maybe I can go there on my bike ride.
Nice. Oops, what is this? What happened here? What happened to George's? There it is. Got it. There it is. Unfortunately, inflation is generally reported excluding food and energy costs. Even we scum know that when energy costs increase, everything increases. They'll still be reporting a ridiculous number. Thank you, George. Vientica says, look to things like the Campbell Soup Index or the Cafe Con Leche Index to give you a better idea of what inflation is, or just look at the money disappearing from your own wallet, whatever. Yeah, that's most people's metric. But yeah, no, it's worse than ever. It's worse than ever. Just brutal. Like, like Russ was saying, about the supermarket. I go to the supermarket, even like little trips, they're like, damn it, I forgot that. Let me go grab that. And then while you're there, you obviously grab a few other things. Yeah, $60. What the hell did I spend $60 on? Like, it's insane. Horrible. Charles, in Trump's first term, Iraq was too recent and Afghanistan was going on. He couldn't start Iran yet. Well, yeah, he set it up with no nuke deal. Well, you got it. Assassination goal line. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what as soon as the 12-day war started, I did a half-hour piece where I traced the timeline and I posited that, yes, I mean, essentially, he's been an Israel op all along. Israel colluded with him to win in 2016. The first phase of this was to rip up the Obama deal, which he did. And then think about it. October 7th was 2023. That would have been in Trump's second term, right? So it all would have happened continuously. So yeah, no, I absolutely think that that's the case. George Gunnell says the Gulf states relying on Epsteinists while also relying on desalination plants are flirting with the aquapocalypse.
Yeah.
And what Max said, because when we interviewed Max Blumenthal, I think it was on the Jimmy Dore show, we asked why is it that all of these Gulf states are so cucked, and he basically said it's not a reflection of the people who live in those countries. These are corrupt governments who are basically bought off by the United States and the West. And so it is a very tragic thing to think about, tens of millions of people either dead or displaced, which is a very realistic possibility. I mean, these countries are developed past what they can sustain naturally, meaning just think about it. It's self-explanatory. You're in desert.
It's a desert
where the water is all salt water.
There.
Yeah, with you're in a desert where the only water sources are salt water. You need that infrastructure in order for your populations to literally survive. So yeah, it is. It's a horrible thing, and I think Iran. I think the only reason this hasn't happened yet is because Iran has shown the restraint not to do that. Because to do that is a mass casualty event in the region, and then the ripple effects of that are far and wide beyond that. Okay, let's move right on along. Okay, folks, so Epstein is back in the news. There's a new book on the behind-the-scenes Epstein drama written by Maggie Haberman and Jonathan Swan. And they put out, as is, common when these, reporters have a book out, they put out a feature just giving some key points of the book. And so this made the rounds this week. Inside the White House freak out over the Epstein files. Now, a lot of this article is kind of rehashing a timeline of things we already knew. So I'm just going to pick a couple of points here that have made the rounds as newsworthy. It really sheds some light on J.D. Vance, but also really some more damning information on Danny Boy Bongino over there. So before we get into the article, we'll just watch a couple minutes of this to set this up. Here are the authors giving a sort of brief overview of things.
Trump administration in 2025.
You would have gotten the impression that the Epstein files were a relatively minor issue.
President Trump suggested that nobody cared.
He said that the Epstein story was boring.
That this was a hoax.
These files were made up by Comey. They were made up by Obama.
But what we learned while we were reporting our book, Regime Change, was just how much the Trump administration, up to the highest levels of the government, were paralyzed over how to deal with a growing crisis. Their biggest obstacle was Donald Trump.
Trump wanted it buried. He didn't want to release the files. His staff knew that this was an issue that they couldn't really talk about.
People in his orbit found him snapping at them if they even raised the issue of Jeffrey Epstein.
So over the summer of 2025, you had some of Trump's most senior advisors, the top level of the government, gathered in the Situation Room,
which is typically used for national security or responding to national disasters,
to figure out a way to spin their way out of this.
Not with the president, but among themselves.
It was an issue that came back to bite them, because many of the same senior people who were in the Situation Room were very strong advocates for releasing the Epstein files.
Yeah, so little intro there. One thing that really comes through here is just how everyone knew so much more than they were letting on, and how everyone knew how bad this was for them before, this really became the sort of gift that kept on giving for critics of the White House team. Vice President J.D. Vance took a seat at the head of the table in the John F. Kennedy conference room of the Situation Room complex. "This is a huge problem," he told the group. The vice president appeared panicked to others in the room about the way the subject of Epstein was already dividing the MAGA coalition. Some senior officials had the impression that Vance had bought into the darkest theories about Epstein and a cabal of predators hidden within the country's ruling class. Wiles would tell others that the vice president had proved himself to be a major conspiracy theorist. I don't know where you were during the campaign, but that's kind of your base that you're talking about there. This guy, J.D. Vance, seems to be really into these wild theories about Jeffrey Epstein, right? It's like how treacherous these people are. That's why they picked J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance was an avatar for that part of the coalition that they had every intention of screwing over as soon as they got into power. And J.D. Vance is the sacrificial lamb. Well, fuck him, all right? Because he can't run for president now. He's already talking about how he doesn't want to. There's been credible information come out that says he's basically thinking about hanging it up. So yeah, I mean, everyone who comes into their orbit.
Why not? He can go to Silicon Valley. He's going to become very wealthy.
Yeah. I mean, he'll be fine at the end of the day. But it just goes to show you, like, the ethos of these people is just use everyone for what we need them for, and then just discard them, right? Like, we get what we need out of them, and then fuck them past that point. No matter who they are, there's no loyalty among these people whatsoever. Another top official said later that Vance had been pounding on the Epstein issue since the release of the memo. Vance had also floated to colleagues an extraordinary PR gambit that the White House enlist, look at this idea, that the White House enlist Tucker Carlson to interview Epstein's longtime girlfriend and co-conspirator Ghislaine Maxwell in prison. Oh yeah, that would have been a great idea. That would have been a really awesome idea for the image. Let's have Tucker interview Ghislaine Maxwell in jail. I don't think that would have worked out too well for you guys. It might help the president if Maxwell was willing to state that Trump had not been part of any wrongdoing with Epstein.
Well,
oh boy.
Well, if Ghislaine Maxwell says it, it must be true.
Yeah, exactly.
I would have shut it all down.
Oh my God. Ugh.
She said that in the Todd Blanche interviews. It was amazing. You did have these morons sharing that out as evidence.
Yeah.
They shared out the clip of the tape. See? She says Trump wasn't involved.
Yeah.
Are you joking? Remember you had I can't remember which anchor it was on Fox. It was like, yeah, hey, look, based on our system of justice, we might not need to release her. She might not be guilty of anything.
Yeah. I mean, do you think Tucker would be willing to do that to his reputation, to go and interview Ghislaine Maxwell?
I mean, he might agree to interview her, but it wouldn't go the way they wanted.
No, it wouldn't go the way. Yeah. You know, J.D. Vance thought it would be a great idea for me to come and talk to you. So I have a few questions. Let's get started. So here's Roberto Garcia talking about the Vance revelations here.
The vice president has clearly been so engaged in directing what's going on at the White House, the messaging, what the strategy should be around the Epstein files is actually really significant. The fact that Susie Wiles has clearly been more involved in this cover-up in the way that the White House has rolled out the Epstein files.
Oh, you mean the woman who campaigned for Benjamin Netanyahu took the lead on the Epstein cover-up? Wow, that's a revelation.
Directions being given to Bondi, to Patel, I think is pretty stunning. And so what it does for us is it really, for me, ensures that we have to fight to get all of these folks in front of the Oversight Committee. The vice president has a lot of questions to answer. Susie Wiles has questions to answer. Clearly, members of the FBI at every level have to provide us with more information. And look, the former AG Pam Bondi, when we had her in front of us for an interview not that long ago here, within the last couple of weeks, she said she wasn't involved. She didn't know what was going on. That's also clearly not true. She was involved in some of these meetings, sometimes by telephone, and is also a central figure in this reporting.
All right, so Bondi, I mean, nothing too new under the sun, at least in this article. Maybe there's more in the book that's going to come out. You know, Vance, you get confirmation of what we already kind of suspected about J.D. Vance, that he was not on board with a lot of this and kind of feels like he got stuck on a sinking ship here. So, you know, some new information, but nothing too revelatory there so far. But where it really gets rich and funny is the detailed accounting of Dan Bongino, how he took all this. We had heard reporting that he was upset. Remember, he didn't come into work right after that memo was sent. Is he going to quit right now? Is he going to wait? So there was reporting about it. But this gets into a lot more detail with like specific quotes, and you know, they interview hundreds of people for these books. And I checked Dan Bongino's feed. He did not have a meltdown denying this, which leads me to believe that this is all true. So the day the memo was released, meaning the memo saying nothing to see here, what was it, July 6th of 2025, Dan Bongino showed up to a daily Justice Department meeting with the FBI staff and the Attorney General. He was in a volcanic mood. Then again, when isn't he? As soon as he entered the room, he erupted at Bondi, shouting at her, yeah, you fucked this thing up from the start, Bongino yelled. The way you've been talking about this dumb fucking charade with the Epstein files, they're there on my desk nonsense, all the promises to the folks out there. Patel and Bongino both subsequently told a White House official that Bondi needed to resign. 2 days later, on July 9th, the two men were summoned to a meeting with Wiles and Bondi in the Situation Room complex. They were the last to enter the small wood-paneled room. Seated around the table were Bondi, Wiles, Blanche, and Taylor Budowich, one of Wiles's deputies. Sounds like a dangerous guy. The moment Bongino sat down, Wiles told him that she had been informed he leaked a sensitive story about Epstein and Trump to ABC News. So this was just 2 days after the memo was sent. So remember when they would look like, every time Kash Patel and Dan Bongino would go on TV, they'd look like they're about to shit themselves or cry?
Yeah.
It's because they were kind of put on notice from day 2, basically. Like, hey, we suspect that you guys are disloyal. So Bongino, this is funny. I'll tell you what, Bongino replied, I'll give you $100,000 cash right now. I'm not kidding. Walk out to West Exec, put that reporter on speaker, and get him to admit I leaked it. $100,000. Wiles snapped back. Well, we all got ourselves into this. Bongino cut her off. No. We didn't get ourselves into anything. I warned you guys about this the whole time, and you ignored me. And exactly what I said was going to happen happened, and now you're pretending I was in on this. I was never in on this. Bongino's aggressive response to Wiles startled the others. She was the White House chief of staff, essentially a stand-in for the president. Wiles put Bongino on the spot. Going forward, she said, we're all in. We're all going to agree to move forward. Are you in or not? No, I'm not, Bongino said. This is not my plan. I'm not part of this going forward. Forget it. I'm out of here. He stormed out of the Situation Room and onto West Executive Avenue, where he climbed into the back of Patel's armored SUV and directed the driver to take him to the Cheesecake Factory. Oh, I'm sorry. Take him to FBI headquarters. I misread that. I don't know why. That was my fault. Some of Bongino's close friends hoped he would resign right then, an act of protest that would have made him a MAGA martyr and only increased his following. But White House advisors intervened, urging him to stay. If he quit over Epstein and went public, it could severely damage the president. Bongino told associates he would remain for Trump's sake and keep pushing for more Epstein information to be released. Remember, there was speculation, is he going to quit? And we said he'll probably quit eventually, but not right now. Why not right now? Because it's too obvious if you quit 3 days after the memo drops.
Listen, I'm not getting on board with covering for PDF files except for the president.
Yeah, right, exactly. All right, I'll stay for his sake. Privately, he seethed. In conversations with confidants, he lamented what the job had cost him. Millions of dollars in podcast revenue, family time, his audience. He was getting torn apart over a strategy he had opposed from the start. The relationships at the top of the Justice Department were by now beyond dysfunctional. At another July meeting in Wiles' office, Bongino and Patel told the chief of staff they suspected that Bondi had leaked negative stories about them. Blondie fucked this whole thing up, Bongino later told a confidant, echoing Laura Loomer's derisive nickname for the Attorney General. She was the one on TV saying over and over they had all this stuff. There was never anything. We were always clear about that. But now everyone thinks we did something wrong, and I gave up everything. Bongino complained that he had given up his high-rated show and millions of dollars, and now it's all disappeared because people think we screwed something up with Epstein. Bongino paused. This is going to be President Trump's Iran Contra. So one of the other things that you notice here is that in none of this reporting is there any expressed concern for the victims of Jeffrey Epstein or any desire to get them justice or to hold the people who victimize them accountable for their crimes. It's all, look what all of this is costing me.
Right.
Look at how this is bad for our reputation. Look at how this is
the
bad for our
optics
poll
are.
numbers, how bad it is for the optics. Look at how much money this is costing me as a podcaster. Like, these people are just horrible, fucking treacherous people who, like, they are just so disloyal and so self-centered and so just incapable of thinking beyond that. It's very much, you know what I thought of when I was watching this, or when I was reading this, is, you know, you were talking about how when you were backstage at the Rescue the Republic event, you got all these influencers and commentators rubbing elbows. Hey, you should come on my show. Oh, yeah, sounds good. How many subscribers you have? Oh, yeah, how many on this platform over here? They're all just angling for themselves, right? Whether it's career advancement or short-term, like, monetary gain. Like, as passionate as they sound in a microphone, it's a business for these people, and that's what comes through here. Like, what is the overarching issue here? You're talking about a sex trafficking ring. You're talking about some really dark stuff, and nowhere in this reporting does anybody really express any concern for, like, the actual issue and the actual moral implications of the thing they're supposedly discussing about how to handle. They're not actually talking about how to handle it the best way possible from a policy perspective or a law enforcement perspective. It's all about politics and self-advancement. How do we handle this in a way that keeps our poll numbers high enough and that doesn't jeopardize our money? That's what they give a shit about. And there is another victim who they do report on here named Sarah Ransom, who made some troubling accusations that, you know, had been out there before. They shed a little more light on them. We're actually going to get into that more in another segment, in the Graham Platner segment, oddly enough. So I don't want to double up.
Michael Tracy's fiance, Sarah Ransom.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I didn't want to double up on that in the live stream, but the Times article does get into that a little bit. But once again, how do we handle this in ways that are going to cause minimal damage to us? It's not about anybody else.
Well, now I understand why Bongino didn't deny it, because for his purposes, that makes him look good. I was against it. It wasn't my idea.
Yeah, it wasn't my idea.
See, they dragged me into it.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't my idea. They dragged me into it. But he still, I mean, yeah, he doesn't look as complicit as he may have if he were like the one, you know, really championing this strategy. But yeah, I mean, he does look like a petulant, petty, selfish asshole, because he is one. Like, his concern there is that it's costing him money.
That bothered him.
Right. Like, according to this reporting, his main concern was that this was all costing him money, and he gave up a sweet gig as a podcaster to do this, and now this is making him look bad. Not, hey, we're whitewashing some pretty grotesque crimes that happened. No, not that. It's, hey, this is making me look like I'm fucking it up. You fucked this whole thing up. You know what I gave up to be here?
Well, this is the reality people who are very invested in these personalities don't want to hear.
Right.
Like, yeah, you get into this space probably with certain political convictions. That's how you get into it. But in the end, that shit takes a back seat to money and numbers.
Right.
And they're always willing to pivot. When I was researching the Gwyneth Paltrow story, I had two hits on Gwyneth Paltrow and Ali London. One was excoriating her for calling out rich white men, pointing out she has $200 million. And the other was defending her for the Israel ad.
Right.
Whoever's paying these guys. Look at, you want to talk about an underrated master of the craft. Not by you. You've always rated him very highly. Look at how Alex Jones, he is the Madonna of crazy grifting podcasters. That guy is able to reinvent himself like nobody else. He's able to maintain this core brand identity. But look how he managed, when it became untenable, to pivot away from Trump. After basically pinning all of the things that he's talked about for his whole career, the deep state, Epstein, everything. It comes out Trump the call was coming from inside the house, right? Trump is the person you've been talking about the whole time. And he backs Trump, right? He manages to do this dance. And then as Trump turns on him and Tucker and the rest of them, pivots away back to Alex Jones, the outsider fighting the deep state. And his numbers are great, man. Alex Jones is one of these guys doing it better than the rest of them. He really is. But if you look at what he does, if you deconstruct it, that's what they're all doing or trying to do, often failing to do.
Well, I think a big part of it is that Alex Jones, he hawks those supplements, but those are their supplements. Like, he doesn't take outside money for ad reads or anything like that. Like, it is a self-contained thing in that sense, right? He's not as reliant on outside money. I think he became very reliant on Elon's goodwill, so he probably it seemed like he didn't want to say anything that got on the wrong side of Elon because he didn't want to get deplatformed or suppressed. But he doesn't get funding from outside sponsors. So, there's keeping your audience on board. But beyond that, you don't have the same considerations as some of these guys do where, they're taking money. Like Alex Jones was not part of that tenant media thing. Like he's always just ran his own shop, and he's ran his own shop for a long time. So that insulates you from a lot of those pressures. I think that's part of why he was very good at it. Yeah. And he's also just an incredible on-air talent.
I gotta say, man, give the devil his due. I have been very impressed on a professional level with how he has pivoted to being a anti-Trump warrior. That's a pretty hard pivot, and he kind of pulled it off. He did that. He did that little clip, right? Yeah. And that allowed him to go back into his old lane.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's move right on along here. All right. We'll take a brief pause for a word from Rumble Wallet. So, folks, just a quick question. How much control do you actually have over your money? Technology has changed the way the economy works, and it changes the way people handle their money. And with Rumble Wallet, you can change the way you support your favorite creators here on the Rumble platform. It takes all the complexity of the new economy and makes it simple. You can support your favorite creators here on Rumble using Bitcoin, dollar-backed stablecoins, or even digital gold backed by real gold. There's no complicated setup. It connects you to MoonPay, so you can use your credit card, your debit card, or your bank and be up and running with Rumble Wallet in just minutes. Once you're set up, you can even support your favorite creators like us here on the Rumble platform very efficiently. The platform takes 0 fees when you support us through the Rumble Wallet, where you can send your Rumble Ranch just as you do now. So get started now. Scan that QR code or click the link in the description and download Rumble Wallet. You can also go to wallet.rumble.com if you don't have your phone handy, but if you do, QR code is the simplest way to go. It's on the screen right now. Once you get started, you can set up your wallet, tap buy, and get in the game. That's the Rumble Wallet. Get started today at wallet.rumble.com. Okay. We can move right on along here. You want to take some of those chats? I want to knock some of them out.
Burhunk, love from Bahrain. My trip to the Far East starts tomorrow. A perfect timing. And I'm nervous as fuck that they'll shut down the airports. Please inform Arachi to hold off for 24 hours, please. And thank you. Why are you going there now? It's going to be hot, humid, nasty. It was already getting like that when I was there.
Yeah. Also, we don't know Arachi. You're thinking of Tucker Carlson.
You're thinking of him.
Yeah.
Hey, we had a discussion when the war broke out with Iran of me canceling the China portion of the trip. I say, China, they play their cards pretty close to the chest. Let me see what signals they put out over the next couple of weeks. And it became pretty clear pretty quickly. Yeah, they're not gonna start a military engagement. But that having been said, I got out of Southeast Asia just in time. The airline chaos came in right after I went, where I was seeing I joined some groups for the trip of like, Thailand, people traveling in Thailand, looking for advice, sharing information. And it all became, what do I do? My flights have all been canceled and I'm out of money. How do I get out? Like, yeah. So hopefully that doesn't happen here, man. Nocturnal Human. I'm predicting work break rooms will be converted into barracks since nobody will be able to drive home. Yep. Al-Bukid. You'll own nothing and be happy, or you'll disappear into our network of private equity managed warehouse concentration camps. Yeah, that's where things seem to be going. Vienticus Prime, everything. Car repair has gone up 4 times over the recent years. Is that true, Keaton? Obviously, it's not something that impacts me.
Yeah, I mean, they seem pretty expensive to me. You know what has absolutely skyrocketed is the prices of an oil change. I mean, oil changes used to be like $15.
Yeah,
like
they're
you used to be
cheap,
able to get them like $15, $20. Now, like the cheapest oil change you can get is like $55.
Really?
Yeah.
Vienticus Prime. I looked today and saw a few sales. I never expected to get as many, but it would take 16 sales to get the money back because I charged so little. Wow. Keep it up.
You
man.
charge so little for what? For your book?
Yeah, I guess.
But
But
I wonder what your cut is off that.
Raven Laz, RFK. That's for you, man.
Oh, my reading room is just the Kama Sutra translated into hundreds of languages, even Klingon. So the RFK reading room.
I ever tell you the experiment I would like to run on a child with the Klingons? Did I ever tell you that?
I think you have, actually. Yes, but I forget.
All right. So you know how every now and then you have these cases where a child has been raised in a basement without human contact, and all the psychologists are like, that's terrible. Now let's study him because this is the only way we could answer certain questions about the brain and language and community formation and bonding. Right. Okay. So what if you had like, Bill Gates money and you had a kid and you were a real Silicon Valley sci-fi geek and you decided to build a facsimile of a Klingon ship and hire a bunch of actors to pretend to be Klingons on a deep space mission.
Like a Truman Show thing.
Yeah, and you raise the child in the ship thinking they're living in the Star Trek universe in the 24th century, only speaking Klingon.
Right.
You go through all of the Klingon rites of passage to their maturity, and then you let them out when they're 21.
It's a good idea.
Just see what happens. They think they're part of a world that was from a science fiction show. They have the only authentic Klingon accent in existence. They would speak English with a Klingon accent.
Yeah. There you go.
This is why God won't give me real money.
Yeah, right.
It's things like that.
Yeah.
So none of you do this to your kids.
No.
I hope I didn't plant an idea there. Michael Castillo, gentlemen, I will be calling in while I'm on the East Coast. Could you give me 10 minutes, please? I cannot wait. We're not doing a call in today, are we?
Yeah, no, not today. But yeah, I mean, call in. Sure.
Sure. I was like, hang on, did I miss something? Eric Rousseau, wow, Trump is guilty as fuck. The United States is ruled by pedos. Yep. All right, we'll do one more and then we'll move on. Albukid, Trump looks really bad. His healthcare team is working frantically to keep him alive, like sailors patching holes and bailing water on a sinking ship. What happens if he croaks before his term is up? Well, you know what happens. Get JD. Get JD in there. And Peter Thiel's horns emerge.
Yeah.
The earth cracks open. Flames erupt. All right. There's a story that, look, we don't do a lot of trigger warnings here, but you might not want to eat before you watch this ad because it might make you lose your lunch. So the Jewish Chronicle, very excited. Gwyneth Paltrow is the face of a new luxury housing development in Israel. The Hollywood star turned lifestyle guru appears in a slick 1-minute marketing video advertising 51 Park, a flagship luxury apartment complex in the affluent Israeli city of Herzliya. It's Herzliya, right?
Herzliya. I
I
never even
think
heard
that's
of
how
it.
you say that. Set across 2 towers in the city, it is located on the Mediterranean coastline about 10 miles north of Tel Aviv. All right, so let's take a look at this ad. I warn you again, it's pretty disturbing.
Oh, not again. Who decided morning should be so early?
God help me.
Even my coffee needs a coffee. Waking up for a morning run can be brutal. But it's a price I'm willing to pay.
Hard life you lead.
Because once I hit the park, pure energy takes over. It's hard to explain. There's a reason the world's most iconic buildings are by a park. 51 Park.
New York?
Herzliya. Israel.
51 פארק, שני מגדלי יוקרה בני 51 קומות, צמוד לפארק הרצליה. עכשיו בתנאי השקה, כוכבית 3566.
51 Park, Herzliya, by Aviv Melisron.
We figured we would build 2 towers that look just like each other since we destroyed the last ones.
All right, this is, Charles Bukowski wrote this great poem that I love. It's probably my favorite, where he describes the horrors of having to get up in the morning with a terrible hangover to read to a college English class.
Right.
And my favorite line in that poem is he says, "Enough of this, I thought. I'll go back to the factories if they'll have me."
Right. Yeah.
That's how I feel when I have to watch something like that in the course of my duties. Enough of this. I'll go back to the horse and carriages if they'll have me.
Sometimes my coffee needs a coffee.
Oh,
ouch.
God. And this is what we were saying. We were talking about the video of Ivanka Trump. You see, they're cut from the same cloth. They're basically the same people.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're the same kind of people, right? It's this incredible narcissism and this projection of the idea that you in some way are vicariously amazing by basking in the awesomeness of their amazingness.
Right, exactly.
Like that's their whole brand. Like, yeah, it's hard to get out of bed and jog and live in my doorman building. Oh, look at this guy just waiting on. Look how much he admires me as I come in and out, right? Oh, he's so in awe of me. And the closest you're going to get to that is being into me and my brand.
Right.
That's Goop. That is what her whole thing is. So Ryan Rosbiani kind of fixed the text here. Gwyneth Paltrow is helping Israel sell stolen coastline apartments. Oh, that's more like it. She's the face of 51 Park, 2 luxury towers on the Herzliya seafront. That beach was the Palestinian village of Al-Haram, emptied of its people in 1948. Israelis call it luxury living. The people who were driven off that shore used to call it home. Yeah, she's not worried about that. You want to see how much things have turned against Zionism. New York Magazine's article about this is pretty snarky in its subtext. In a LinkedIn post, Gabby Attal, CEO of Israeli creative agency Why Worry, wrote that Paltrow was the perfect person for the campaign. Quote, "To bring this architectural masterpiece to the Israeli audience, we needed a figure who effortlessly embodies international elegance, a premium lifestyle, and uncompromising quality," he wrote. "We also needed someone who's not ashamed to sell a jade egg in your pussy and tell you it's going to help you with incontinence. Here's our girl. Enter Academy Award, Emmy, and Golden Globe winner Gwyneth Paltrow. Paltrow has not said anything publicly about her latest gig, nor has she shared the ad on her social media. Following the October 7th Hamas attacks in 2023, Paltrow, who is Jewish, repeatedly shared messages of support for the Israeli hostages taken by Hamas. In a 2024 Instagram story, she wrote, quote, "To the families of each hostage whose life was stolen, I have thought of you every day for 11 months, but today I send you my heart," unquote. It is unclear if Paltrow has ever posted anything about Israel's genocide of Palestinians in Gaza, which has taken the lives of at least 22,800 children since 2023 per Al Jazeera. Now, listen, this is New York Magazine. That represents a very big cultural shift. That paragraph was written and got past the editor and wound up in print. I am telling you, as a native New Yorker, this is the home of Zionism external to Israel. That represents a pretty remarkable shift in perception, that this is not an article about how horrible it is that people are attacking Gwyneth Paltrow for that ad.
She didn't try to send any of those pussy eggs into Gaza as aid? No, not even that? Couldn't even do that?
Well, she sent them to the IDF. And she also shared this.
She sends them
out.
to the MAGA influencers because they say, "Oh, I thought I didn't realize these were for your pussy."
Rape is not
that makes sense. Starting to make sense now. Starting to make a little more sense now.
Rape is not resistance or freedom fighting. This she put out about a year after October 7th. So she was, yes, was very much one of the people who would not give up, in spite of lack of evidence, the claims of sexual violence, both on October 7th and against the captives that Hamas was holding. She also signed on to a letter that was written to Joe Biden by a lot of Hollywood celebrities to give more support to Israel. But hey, I have to agree with the PR firm that hired her. If you're going to get somebody to sell a fake country full of fake people claiming a fake ancestry that they are not entitled to claim, who better than somebody who sells fake remedies, fake holistic treatments that are actually dangerous to her customers? This was from Vox back in 2017. Let's call Gwyneth Paltrow's jade eggs for vagina what they are: goop shit. Gwyneth Paltrow has made a career out of selling pseudoscience on her lifestyle website, Goop. Over the years, the actress has proclaimed women should steam their vaginas. Spoiler alert, they shouldn't. It's not good for you. That water has feelings and that your body holds secret organs. Eventually, she was sued. Jade eggs, by the way, among their other dangers, they're porous, and keeping them inside you while walking around all day or overnight can actually cause toxic shock syndrome and fucking kill you. That can actually kill you. It can cause incontinence. It can cause pain during sex. They went so far as to claim it was an ancient Chinese secret. They pulled the old ancient Chinese secret in their marketing text, that this was a guarded secret used by the empresses of China. Wow. That is P.T. Barnum level hucksterism. Goop was fined $145,000 for its claims about jade eggs for vaginas. That didn't stop them from selling them. Part of the settlement is they can no longer make medical claims about the things on their website that are not backed by scientific evidence, which killed like most of their marketing text, I would imagine. And then very infamously, she was selling a candle that smells like her vagina. Sold out. Sucker born every minute, as Mr. Barnum said. But, she kind of did a service because this launched some of the best memes ever created. Jeff Snyder, this was the original ending of Seven. And no thanks, I still have my DIY with the Paltrow vagina candle. That's a visual gag, man. If you're listening on the podcast, you're just going to have to come back to the video. I'm not going to explain it, but that's a pretty great meme.
She should have gotten more actresses involved. She should have put out a whole line, had them in retail. Do you have the Gwyneth Paltrow? Here's this one. No. That's Kate Blanchett. I know they look kind of similar, but this is.
Do you have the
wrong.
Jennifer Lawrence?
Do you have the Jennifer Lawrence? Yeah.
I want Hunger Games era Jennifer Lawrence, not kind of sad, washed up Jennifer Lawrence.
I know Kate Blanchett and Gwyneth Paltrow both starred in Shakespearean era films in the same year, and it's easy to confuse them, but I can tell them apart. This is wrong. Do you have check the back? Check the back. Do you have any left?
You're making a joke, but I'm sure she could have done that if she had wanted to.
Yeah, you just need 5 other actresses who are that insane to be a part of it, and you find
not hard. Not hard. You make this because there's a vague patina of this is empowering over it, right?
Yes.
It's kind of a scent of that lingering over it.
You have any of those ultra rare Ellen Page vagina candles? I understand those are out of production now, but I can get a lot of money for them on eBay. Can you check the back, please?
Is it dead naming it if it was made before he transitioned? So
limited edition Ellen Page pussy candles.
Yeah, this Jewishness thing is a shock to me too, because Gwyneth and her mother was Blythe Danner, but her father was Jewish, and this is something that apparently she was raised with both Judaism and Christianity in the household. And it wasn't until I think 2013 she decided that she wanted to become Jewish. I think what she said was, I looked around and I saw all the people with the real power in my industry were Jews. And I said, hey, you know what? That's the way to go. If Madonna can be into the Kabbalah, and she is, like all the Hollywood Jews, she's into the Kabbalah. So here she is with fellow psychopath Brooke Goldstein, talking about her Jewish ancestry.
To find out that I'm from 17 generations of rabbis.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm basically here with rabbis.
It's actually true. Her father is from this rabbinical lineage.
Robertson, Paltrow. Paltrovich. Paltrovich, that's what it is? Oh, that's what it was. Oh my God, I'm here with Robertson Paltrovich.
Fucking hate her, man. I was talking to Keaton about this before the show. Like, if you had a contest of the most evil people in Hollywood, I feel like Gwyneth Paltrow is a dark horse candidate nobody pays attention to. They will now after this.
Does she act anymore? I haven't seen her in anything in years. I can't remember the last thing she was in.
She just did Marty Supreme.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. She was in that. Yeah, I didn't see that, but
she was in Marty Supreme with a perfect pairing for her, Kevin O'Leary.
Yeah, Kevin O'Leary. Yeah, what a cast.
Like her and Oprah, I think, would run neck and neck for the most evil people in Hollywood. And you know what they have in common? No, Oprah did not release a pussy candle. They both covered up for Harvey Weinstein.
Yep.
So her Instagram, and this is not cherry picked. You can go check out her Instagram. It is like 99%, no matter what she posts, backlash about this ad. So she shared out this very, typical of her Instagram, her wonderful life. So she put up a video of her making breakfast. Coffee smells like infant blood. I wonder if Hind Rajab would have drank coffee in the mornings too if she ever got to grow up. No wonder Chris left you. And guess who liked it? Gal Gadot. No surprise there. Gal Gadot liked the video. Jonah Platt, you're a legend. She shared out a video of her on the move, on the road. Why don't you care about being a good person? I don't understand how someone could be so greedy and tone deaf. Yeah, she's worth like $200 million. Like, why would you do this? But she's ideologically committed, so that might have been a motive in and of itself. Take a minute to reflect on the comments. I think they're trying to tell you something. And plastic. Pussy candles not making enough money, yeah? I don't know if they still sell those. Jerusalem Post, of course, is horrified at this treatment. Gwyneth Paltrow smeared online after Israel commercial gig. Now, this hurt me a little bit. The other ones didn't. I kind of knew about. I didn't know about Morgan Freeman. She's not alone. Like she didn't share this ad to her Instagram. In recent years, several ad campaigns featuring Hollywood stars have run in Israel, including Morgan Freeman for Tataran. That one hurts. That one hurts. You know, he's one of those figures who's kind of universally liked. I'm a little surprised at him, man. That's sad. Everybody knows Snoop Dogg for SodaStream. David Schwimmer. That's no surprise there. Morgan Freeman surprises me, though. Gen X girl. Genocide profiteer Gwyneth Paltrow is the new face of luxury living in Israel. She signed a $10 million contract with the murderers of 17,000 children in Gaza. She profited $588 per murdered child. Look, ideologically, I'm committed, but the money didn't hurt either. I didn't mind the money. It didn't hurt. Tarek Cyril Amar. Seeing how Israel markets its real estate loot in the West means realizing all the Nazis would have had to do to make nice with the U.S., UK, etc., is offer them parcels of the USSR and promote them with Gwyneth Paltrow in tight pants jogging her ass away. Silly Nazis. Victorami, and some of you might not know this, her dad, Bruce Paltrow, who was a director, used nepotism to get her acting gigs. Then Bob and Harvey Weinstein championed her career and spent $30 million lobbying for her to win the Oscar.
Yep.
That's why she got that Oscar for Shakespeare in Love. Now it is widely acknowledged that that Oscar was bought by Harvey Weinstein. He basically
all the Oscars for that film.
bribed the committee.
Yeah. That was just an AstroTurf campaign. That's one of the least respected Oscar winners ever.
Right, and it was running against Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. Takes a lot of Jew money to beat out a World War II movie directed by Steven Spielberg.
Directed by Hollywood's Bull Goose Jew.
Yeah.
Heidi N. Moore. I feel like the people who are genuinely shocked by Paltrow's move are unfamiliar both with her brand of being completely out of touch with reality and also just with Upper East Side rich people in general. They're all like this. They basically have fascist politics. I guess I'm surprised by the surprise. Yeah, the way I've always described the Upper East Side is it's where frat boys and sorority girls go to become horrible middle-aged people and die.
Right.
That's the Upper East Side. This is an account I follow. I almost used her clips of that Israel Day parade, but I didn't have time. Gaijin Girl, 2004, Bronx leftist / green. Only pussies need ethnostates. It's 2026. Gwyneth Paltrow just put her name and face on a luxury development in Israel when most of Hollywood won't go anywhere near it. She did it anyway because Gwyneth cares about bank, not children's lives or the lives of her customers. She literally has marketed things that could kill her customers. And finally, I hear that every condo sold comes with a free Gwyneth Paltrow vagina scented candle. Not voting for genocide account.
Thought she don't make the candles anymore.
I don't think they do the candles anymore. They still have the jade egg, last I heard. They still sell that, but they can't make the outrageous medical claims for it that they were making.
Well, she has to have hit menopause by now, so maybe that's why. Maybe they have sawdust, vagina scented sawdust for menopause.
You know what they're selling? Like a perimenopause package.
Mm-hmm.
When I was doing research for this, I saw that. Yeah, look, I mean, in a way, if you can afford Goop and you are not repulsed by Gwyneth Paltrow, you kind of deserve what you get. But that does not take away from what a horrible person you have to be to literally sell snake oil that could kill your customers under a guise of wellness or enlightenment. Now, that whole brand it is the liberal class brand. It's Oprah's brand. It's this, vaguely kind of new agey self-actualization regime. Very, very American, very much a modern manifestation of the Protestant work ethic, right? Like if you have problems, it's on you. You have to make these kinds of lifestyle changes, and then you can be just like me. She's a disgusting pig of a woman. It's no shock that they could get her to cut an ad like this. Like if you held a gun to my head, told me there was an ad like this, and asked me what actress in Hollywood agreed to do it, there's a pretty good chance I'd pick Gwyneth Paltrow as the person who did it. Absolutely, absolutely no surprise. Part of being out of touch with reality and a psychopath is miscalculating consequences. I don't think she realized how bad it was going to be. I mean, really, go check out her Instagram. It is like over 95% comments like what I read to you. And it's not like she's really in demand in Hollywood at this point, Marty Supreme notwithstanding. What she has to worry about is a boycott against Goop. Now, a lot of the morons who would actually unironically buy something from Goop might not be fazed by this, but they're making a big push with Goop Kitchen right now. Like it only does takeout of these, supposedly wellness-oriented meals that they deliver to you. There's no sit-in. It's only takeout. Right at this moment, they've been doing a big marketing push with this. You're seeing a lot of articles with it. They've been expanding. So this is a very precarious moment for her to do something that would inspire a backlash and a boycott of her new venture, which I think you're probably going to see.
Yeah, and you're right. Like she's the only one of these people who is like enough in a bubble to think that this was just going to come and go without any negative reaction. Like there are obviously Zionist ideologues aplenty in Hollywood. Gal Gadot, perfect example. I don't think Gal Gadot would do this because I think Gal Gadot would be aware of the backlash. Like, she's already gotten backlash for this, so she's probably like, all right, I'm going to lay off of this for now. It seems like Paltrow is the type who is just, kind of in her own world enough to not see this kind of thing coming, and that's why she did it. Yeah, no, I didn't know any of that about her like product. Like I knew she sold weird products, but I didn't know it was like that. That is very strange. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Those are the yeah. That is very strange. All right. Professor Brown Note says, "Wow, handbags fight between Spam Blondie and Spam Blondie and Sandy Bongina. I'd pay." Yeah, indeed. Jolly Man Big Boy says, "My theory is the World Cup is used to give practice to our growing police state so they can learn to be more efficient at communication and patrolling." Excuse me. Yeah, game time is less than an hour, I think. Trump is not going to that game. He is not attending. Yeah, I mean, you thought the booze were loud at Madison Square Garden. You think, imagine the booze at the World Cup? Holy shit. Turnkey names. Stocks rip as president says bombing is off. Making money. He canceled the bombing for tonight?
Oh, yeah?
Let me look that up. Here, why don't you take a couple of these? I'll look it up.
But I pressed my bombing dress.
I mean, he fucked us. I mean, we were gonna, we'd have made a good $13, $14 off of that clip. Now we're not gonna be able to drop it. This is what I mean.
Turnkey names.
He's hurting Americans.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Am I taking over here?
Yeah. I'm gonna look that up. See if there's a headline.
Clutch to pack. The Chinese basketball player, I believe, was Will Chamberlain. You get people in the comments. Or like, Will Chamberlain has been dead since 1999. Yeah.
Yeah, look at this. Trump cancels U.S. strikes in Iran and suggests agreement is close. Wow, look at that. See, he has no consideration for American workers.
He doesn't think about podcasting.
I prepared a whole segment based on him saying he was going to bomb. Now he cancels it. What? So I don't get paid for that work now? That's useless.
Right. I think you should write a letter to the White House.
You know what this is? This is anti-Semitism.
It is.
Yeah.
Come on, man. These guys all hate Jews.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Scooby, most concerning is
How
not
dare
the
you? You don't understand how hard I worked on that segment this morning.
most concerning is not the inflation, but how they're likely to deal with it soon. Raising rates for cost push inflation. Yeah, man. I think we're looking at an ugly fall. Abolish NATO, but it's going to radicalize people. Like, it is a tremendous opportunity for left politics if they can take advantage of it, which is questionable. Do you really think that when you deal with the left, it makes you understand all the why I left the left people? Because past a certain point, it's like, why not just go for the money? I mean, instead of dealing with these motherfuckers. I mean, seriously, I can see why you would feel that way. Like, for what? For what? You know? Abolish NATO. Do you really think professional sports aren't fixed, considering the fact that everything else under capitalism is?
I mean, it's happened before. There's precedent for it. It's not easy.
Yeah, but I think you got to remember, it's, a bunch of billionaire owners all have their own interests. So how's it going to get fixed?
Also, when the games
they all want their team to win.
The games in these finals, 3 out of these first 4 games have been settled by 5 points or less. That is not evidence of rigging. If you're going to rig a game, you're going to give yourself some more breathing room, right? Like you're going to pay a few of the players to, throw the game or something. I think it's impossible to rig a basketball game within 1 point. How do you rig a basketball game within 1 point? I mean, if the inbound pass at the last second weren't tipped, the Spurs probably would have won. Like, how do you rig it to that level of detail? That doesn't seem doable. So no, I don't think it was rigged. I think the New York Knicks pulled off an amazing comeback victory, and I think it's a great thing for New York
and America. It's a great thing for America.
That's why Trump called off the strikes. It's because the Knicks won. He figured I finally got a goodwill back after almost ruining the Knicks season, that, you know what, maybe I should give peace a chance.
Xander Vorkov, no need to be panicking. Trump said this will be wrapped in the not too distant future, so probably around next Sunday AD. After, okay. Bianticus Prime, ever see the commercial to Vacation in Israel that I think was around Christmas? I don't think I have. You seen that?
Which one?
The fuck that vagina candle, bitch. You didn't know about the candle? You didn't hear about that?
No. I mean, I knew she had some kind of like weird new agey product line, but I never delved into it.
Yeah,
a vagina scented candle is not a thing you'd hear about and then forget.
I definitely saw, I don't think I ever saw a Goop storefront until when I did my bike ride last week. I definitely saw one. I think it might have been on Bond Street.
All
right, you want to move on?
Let's do some more because we got quite a few of them backed up here.
Okay. Putts the mouse. What's in the box?
Yeah.
Mark Pugliese, Russ, I mentioned this once before. I saw a play about Charles Bukowski years ago somewhere in the West Village. Yeah, I love Charles Bukowski. Charles Bukowski is a very good example of a great writer who could never be published today. Never.
Right.
They would never publish it, not in a million years. They would probably find out what factory he worked in and get him fired if he submitted those manuscripts today. Oh, George, like a lot of seaside cities, super wealthy area on the beach, and it falls off to a small town. Not special, in my opinion, especially because it's named after Mr. Herzl himself. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Theodore Herzl, the founder of modern Zionism.
Right.
Stoop sign. We also need someone very Aryan looking for this gig. Well, that's why nobody knows she's Jewish. Like, she looks like a total wasp.
Oh, yeah.
Which her mother was. So, R. Dean W. Note to Iran: there are twin towers in Israel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might not want to let them in on that. Wasim Garani, glad her ex-husband from Coldplay plays music with Palestinian flag in
Oh
background.
yeah, that's right. They're
does he?
Palestine. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Chris
Interesting.
Martin?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, well, you know what, man? Then he might have changed after they divorced, because actually in that article, the Jerusalem Post article, they mentioned that he had been to Israel several times. Although they were vague, they said supporting education programs. He may have been going there for Palestinian education programs.
Yeah.
Like the article doesn't specify what programs he supported.
Or maybe he just didn't know any better and figured whatever.
Maybe he
and
didn't.
Then the
And after
genocide
dating
kind
that bitch, she was like, fuck
Yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly,
You know, if she's for it, I'm against it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hatch Records Berlin. Hello, aus Berlin. Willkommen Avenue. Communism helped shape the affordability you find here today. Subsidies for groceries, public transport. The U.S. needs more trains. Yeah, but who's going to make them run on time? Prophanosaurus Rex. Russ, do you think Gwyneth would sell Pearl Cream? If you get it, you get it. Actually, I don't get it.
Yeah, I think
Do you get it?
I kind of.
I mean, oh, George, Morgan
Seems to be
Freeman
some
sells.
type of semen joke.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But I don't
it
get
seems
it.
like there's more to it.
Yeah, I don't get it, but I get where you're going.
Yeah. Morgan Freeman sells inverters here. What's an inverter? What is that?
I don't know.
David Schwimmer represents an investment firm. And of course, Leonardo DiCaprio has a luxury complex in Tel Aviv. Nice. We knew about Leo.
Yeah, we knew about Leo.
And Schwimmer's no surprise, but Morgan Freeman, that's sad. Kevin G. Bobby Kennedy Jr. reports he only gets turned on by his wife using
An
vagina.
inverter is an electronic device that converts current, electricity into alternative. But that can't be what you're referring to, right? I mean, I know what that is.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a weird thing to hire Morgan Freeman for.
Morgan Freeman sells electrical equipment in Israel.
Thomas Edison fucked over a man named Nicholas Tesla.
Yeah.
Skyman. Okay, Gwyneth. Now, this ad is supposed to invoke a desire to enact conquest and destruction that Genghis Khan would admire. So just do your thing.
Good one, Skyman.
You ever see the Cameron Diaz pre-fame topless video where she did like topless modeling?
No.
Oh man, it's like every cliche. Like the guy doing the photos going, "You're a tiger, Cameron. You're a tiger. You're a savage tiger. Yeah, that's right, Cameron. You're a tiger. Show me the tiger." Nocturnal Human. Vienticus can start selling candles with his book. This smells like my balls.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
That's good. Ball sweat scented candles from Vienticus Prime. Yeah. All right. Let's move right on along. First things first, we got 2007 in the YouTube chat. And 827 in the like column. All right, let's smash that like button a little hard. We got almost 2,000 in here and only 828 in the like column. Let's smash that like button. Let's get over 1,000 likes, please, and thank you very much. All right. We're gonna simp harder for Graham Platner here. Are you ready? Is your finger on that unsubscribe button yet? No, let's test it. Let's see. We're living dangerously here today. No, this was pretty crazy. It's been a while since like a video clip has gone so viral that everybody feels a need to kind of comment on. But we're gonna play the Mika Brzezinski Graham Platner interview in just a moment, but I feel like we should bring everybody kind of up to speed here. So I don't know what people were thinking in terms of the main primary. Janet Mills had dropped out of the race before they ran the Zionist smear op against Graham Platner. So he won overwhelmingly, 71% of the vote, 81,000 votes. That's the most votes ever in a main primary. So he won running away with it, as was expected, and he had some remarks at his victory speech.
It is deeply humbling to stand here as your Democratic nominee. It is an honor, and I will not let you down. Susan Collins may have started her career decades ago in Washington with good intentions, but she has become just as spineless and corrupt as the establishment she now serves. If we want to dismantle ICE, win back the Senate, check Donald Trump's power, and take back ours, as Maine goes, so goes the nation. Together, we will defeat Susan Collins. Together, we will win back this Senate seat.
All right. He's also running some ads here. This ad seems in response to the allegations against him. This has kind of a clapback vibe here. So this is short, but to the point.
Democrats and Republicans in the country were on Epstein Island. It seems the only thing the party establishments can agree on is a love of Jeffrey Epstein and a hatred of me. I'm Graham Platner, and I approve this message because together we will take back our government from the Epstein class.
You even groomed that mustache for that ad. So there you go. Democrats and Republicans been to the island. Both party establishments hate me, prosecuting the case there against the Epstein class. But Mika Brzezinski, who speaks for the average working class person, she has some concerns. She has some concerns about his credibility on an issue like that. So we're going to play this whole thing. It's about 4 minutes because I think the lead in to the question that really went viral is as important to take a look at as the question itself. So let's get started.
Hayes about the issue of, is there more out there? What else could be out there that might be revealed during the campaign? And you deflected, said among other things, this is between you and your wife. It was understandable to a limit because for Maine voters in a general election, the question is, what is out there? What is not in your possession that you sent to others who may have in their possession? How many concerning pictures and or text messages are in the possession of other people that could be used against you? And I'd like to know if there are pictures, concerning pictures.
When did you start fucking your boss?
The nature of Amy and I's relationship has been blown, I would say, totally out of proportion. Early in our marriage, we had some struggles, and we worked through them because that's what you do when you're in love with somebody. And it made our marriage much stronger, made us, frankly, a much happier and communicative couple. I was single for the majority of my adult life. I was in my 20s and 30s and I dated. And, you know, that's in the modern age. That's what happens. You date people and you use dating apps and you do all this stuff. And frankly, that all happened long before I got married and happened long before I decided to run for the United States Senate. I can just tell you, there is nothing out there that is going to will run counter to any of the stories that I've talked about openly this entire campaign. And I know everyone continues to be like, oh, what else is coming? You know, ironically,
right.
The whole what else is coming has essentially been the same thing the whole time, which is I've been very open about the fact that I struggled, very open about the fact I had a long litany of failed relationships for years because I myself was not in a good place. And then every now and again, we will have a media outlet or a politically motivated attack come up and try to drag it all up. But it's all very much within the exact same story that I've told this entire time.
Okay, so you say there's nothing out there that could be concerning.
If you want me to send you a dick pic, just ask me.
You don't have to go through all this.
I'll do it right now. Why don't you show me your tits right now? How about that? Would that be all right? Send me your number. Send me your number.
I'll spank it right here.
Yeah, we're gonna do this. Is this what you're gonna do to me right now?
I heard Joe likes that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've always wanted to fuck a scarecrow on Ozempic, so I think it'd be a nice notch on the belt, if you know what I mean. So send me your phone number. We'll see if we could work it out.
And this may seem a little bit rich.
There's nothing out there.
Where's Joe the cock today? Not going to be any fun if he's not watching.
Starts bullying her husband on the air. It does sound like she's like, okay, so there's nothing else, so there's no other materials. So there's no pictures of your cock available anywhere. Is that what you're saying?
There's nothing out there that's actually concerning. People will make everything seem very concerning because that's what people do in politics. But I think the thing about all of this is what I find to be kind of most curious is this is what everyone wants to make the campaign about. So we do not talk about the struggles of working manors. We do not talk about the fact that I know someone in my hometown here who works 3 jobs and pays over 60% of her money income in rent.
Okay, so here comes the reason I wanted to play this is here
Yeah,
comes
yeah. Economic commiseration.
Yeah. Working people can't get their bills paid. Yeah, let's get to the point.
Yeah.
She gives him the liberal cat stare here. This is what you get when you talk to these people, these upper class people who really consider themselves very, very moral, right? And very civic minded, but who are actually completely disinterested in topics that he's raising right now, right? Which and the reason he has gotten as many votes as he did is because he's right. He's right. At least the Democratic primary voters in Maine care a lot more about the kitchen table issues he's talking about than about who he sexted or whose arm he may have grabbed, according to the most fanatical Zionist on earth years ago. And that seems to be true because it's not just that he won the primary by a landslide. You can expect that to be the case since his opponent dropped out. He got the highest raw vote total of any primary candidate in the history of Maine. So it's not just that he won by default. People actually did show up, quite a few.
So we do not talk about the struggles of working manors. We do not talk about the fact that I know someone in my hometown here who works 3 jobs and pays over 60% of her money income in rent. I think that matters a lot more than the details of my relationship before I ran for United States Senate. That's just me.
Well, not to me, because I'm not a renter, so I don't care about things like that. I care about who you may have been inappropriate with years ago, even though I am the perhaps highest profile example of, as that comic said, who I forget her name, a Me Too that worked out, right? Who was it? Michelle Wolf.
That was Michelle Wolf.
Michelle. Me Too that worked out. Yeah. See, we don't use dating apps. That's for the common folk. We get jobs, anchoring news shows, and we're both just so hot that we just fall in love naturally. We don't need those apps.
And I was I was born rich, and I'm going to stay that way.
Yeah.
So all of this mishigas, as my Zionist friends might say, about struggling working class Mainers, that's not of any interest on this show.
Yeah. No.
What we really want to know is about your dick.
Yeah. And are there any pictures that we might be able to get get our hands on? I mean, are there any pictures that are out there?
That's just me.
Okay, so then let me ask you this way. Can you just talk about the nature of the sexting in terms of, can you call for the release of the Epstein files? And can you call out those who have abused women and not be conflicted in any way?
Yes, of course. I mean,
that's just insane.
It's just an insane question. Like, what an insane question. Like, he obviously threw her off by pivoting to his message, which is what any good politician does.
Right.
And she had absolutely nothing to say in response to that. She wants to keep prodding him here. She's like, okay, so what do working people care about? I go, okay, Epstein files. Well, can you really advocate for the release of the Epstein files when you've sexted a woman?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's 2026. I mean, 90% of men have sexted women now. By now, like, what are you talking about?
I've been sexting a woman during the show.
Yeah, Russ is sexting. I'm sexting a woman right now.
What do you think I do when I'm looking off to the side?
Yeah. Why do you think we split the segments here?
Consensual romantic activities with adults at an earlier part in my life. That seems like a fairly normal thing most people do. Going to an island with billionaires to possibly assault children is a vastly.
Look at a smile on her face.
Yeah,
like,
look at her.
Look
Yeah.
at the smirk. Like, you
So
think
no-
you're nailing this? Like, you really think you're nailing this? You think you've got him? You think you've got him cornered? I mean, you look like the biggest fucking idiot on MSNBC, which is
Dead to
a
rights.
difficult thing to look like.
To possibly assault children is a vastly different thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my God. I mean, that is just brutal how you think that that's an ode. You think that that was an ode. That was unbelievable. Wait, did Mika and Scarborough didn't text during their workplace romance? Yeah. I have a feeling there were some text messages. Yeah, they were both married at the time that they fell in love. And
were they? I didn't even know that.
Well, according
apparently
to
you have
them,
that with Susan Collins too.
Yeah,
who's
exactly.
dating a married guy whose wife had cancer.
That's right. Now, according to them, they waited until their marriages were over before they acted upon it. I'm sure that's true. I'm sure that's 100% true.
That sounds legit.
Sounds legit. Mika's friends with this guy and also had an affair with her coworker, but throwing stones. Nonetheless, yeah, this is something to keep in mind. They were very friendly with Donald Trump, really through the 2016 campaign. It really wasn't until he became president that they had a falling out. Joe Scarborough was at Donald Trump's first address to Congress as president. They didn't support him for president, but they were friendly with him through that campaign. And importantly, the time that Donald Trump had questionable interactions with Jeffrey Epstein, of course, predated the campaign. So, in other words, they established a friendship with Donald Trump, while he was allegedly cavorting. Well, not allegedly. We know he was cavorting with Jeffrey Epstein. That's a fact. At the time where he allegedly did some things that he shouldn't have done with Jeffrey Epstein. And she was friends with him at that time. They are still friendly with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. He gave them a tour of the presidential center. So, this is obviously, it just, one of the things that I think really comes through in here is that class divide. Even when he's explaining to her that he used the dating apps, she looks at him in such a patronizing way. Oh yeah, you're one of those dirty people who uses those apps. You're not in the high society like we are, where we sort of cavort amongst each other. You're on the apps because you're a loser, right? What about this? This just came out. One of the newly discovered files. Per the FBI, Trump knew and funded underage sex parties in Palm Beach. Donald Trump knew and funded underage sex parties at the Donald Trump golf course. And then it gives that line about the bodies buried under the golf course. Now, you want to say, hey, this is based on an FBI tip line. There's no corroborating evidence for that. Well, guess what? There's no corroborating evidence for this Zionist maniac's accusations against Graham Platner. We did a whole hour-long segment where we went through this. She never wrote about it in her diary. She never told any of her friends about it. He denies it. There's as much evidence for Donald Trump having done this than there is for this guy having done what this fanatic. Yeah, I would say
more because you have multiple
more
accounts like this.
You have multiple people saying the same
we've
thing.
Seen.
Exactly. And what is Graham Platner accused of? He's accused of grabbing a woman's arm, drunkenly getting out of a taxi, and locking someone in a room, both of which he denies doing. But hey, here's Donald Trump. See, this is class solidarity here, right? Mika, big enemy of Donald Trump now. But, they both have the same opinion about this Graham Platner character. Donald Trump calls him the worst person who's ever run for office.
He was so bad. He's a bad guy. He's just a bad guy.
Just a bad guy.
He must be laughing up his sleeve when he looks at these idiots going like Schumer. Well, he's okay. He's not okay. Can you imagine if the Republicans had him?
Oh my God.
How about if we had him, John? So
We don't let it happen.
I think
They do have him. You. And then they have him and worse. They have you. Like what you've been accused of, credibly, in my opinion, is a million times worse than any of these accusations. What do you mean? Could you imagine? Hey, could you imagine if there was a Republican running for high office who was accused of sexual impropriety? Could you imagine if we had a guy like this?
Yeah, I know.
I think what he means is, could you
When
imagine?
I saw this clip, I could not believe that's where he went with that.
No, but what they actually mean, and
Can
they
you
don't
imagine
have
if we had a whole government full of people like this?
Yeah.
I bet they would just skate.
Well, they
Especially
will
if you
skate
control
because
the
they
Justice
come from.
Department.
Yeah, well, what is implicit here, and this is what comes through in the Mika interview, is that Graham Platner. I mean, apparently he's a prep school kid, so apparently he's not this like working class guy,
Right. Yeah.
but he codes working class. And so if you code working class, you're held to a higher moral standard, right? It's assumed that the elites are decadent, hedonistic, they can fuck who they want, how they want, and they'll get away with everything. Could you imagine if Republicans had a guy who signaled working class, who was accused of sexual impropriety? That's really what he's saying, even though Trump is not consciously saying it, because Trump assumes, just as they all assume, that they live under a different set of rules, because they do. They do. Like, how in the age of Jeffrey Epstein is this Graham Platner thing even a story? How could you even be serious talking about this?
It's not.
Even if the accusations weren't transparently bullshit, which they are. Go ahead.
The reason it's a story is because the media not really adjusting to the lack of power they have now to shape narratives is pulling out all the stops to make it a story and not willing to accept that it's not working. If anything, you're giving him a Trump halo effect by doing this.
Right.
You're making him look awesome with all of the worst people in the country attacking him, like Mika Brzezinski. That he should just cut that as an ad.
Right.
You don't even have to do any editing. Just to show that. Also, I've mentioned I'm reading Finks, and it's really giving me very often when you read these deep dives into deep state interference in our politics, you realize how much things that we take for granted now were consciously invented decades ago. So they had, as part of the Congress of Cultural Freedom, you had the American Committee, which was based in New York. And it was made up of liberal left intellectuals who were anti-communist. And their function was to send them out to kind of roundtables and debates and to give a left sheen to anti-communism with a kind of smug, intellectual, liberal class elitism, right? None of the smart people believe this. That's Mika Brzezinski. That's what she is. That's what the entire media is. That's what Rachel Maddow is. Like, they developed these tactics back during the Cold War, and they never stopped using them. This is why your entire liberal media signals like that about any kind of an economic populist. Anyone with an economic populist message, whatever party they belong to, whether on the right, whether on the left, they do exactly what the American Committee used to do with communists in the 50s. They rule them out of bounds and signal you're not one of the smart, elevated people if you go along with this. Exactly. And that tactic has been very effective on academics, on intellectuals, and on the arts.
Yes, of course. Of course. It's very effective. I mean, that's what the Elizabeth Warren candidacy was all about in 2020. Yes. That's why she was such an effective saboteur of the Bernie campaign, because she was able to peel off the sort of pseudo-intellectual economic populists who, they would have supported Bernie, but he's kind of too grubby. We want somebody who supports what he supports, but who's smart and who makes us feel smart, right?
And who makes us feel virtuous for supporting them.
Exactly.
Because, she has a pussy.
Yeah, right. Yeah. She should come out with a scented candle pussy.
Wigwam scent.
An incense. Yeah, wigwam scent. That'd be great. That'd be great. A Native American scented candle, pussy candle. It's good.
If it meant losing the
Thursday,
Senate,
folks,
you would
end
not
of the
let
week.
that happen. It's just a terrible thing. I mean, I watch it happening. It's unfolding. It's really history because there's never been a guy like that that's ever run for office. And at any level.
That's when you think of a joke on a tenth of a second's notice. You know, it comes to you instantly.
Well,
like, boom, right there.
Those are the best ones.
That's good.
I don't think at any level. And the excuses, they come up every day. Somebody comes forward with really proven stuff.
Proven
Even
stuff,
his business, you know, he's not a businessman at all.
Oh, he's not a
Parents supported
businessman.
him. Guy's a loser.
Oh, his parents support him. He's not a businessman. His parents support. He's describing himself.
Yes,
He's describing.
exactly.
He's not a businessman.
The lack of self-awareness. But you know, like when you listen to this, you know you're gonna get an army of broken-brained chuds who are gonna say, "Yeah, Trump calls out Platner, trust fund kid."
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's not a real businessman. You know, he had a lot of support from his parents, and you know.
Wow. How do you say that when you're Donald Trump? How do you even
Yeah.
say that?
And he mistreats women. Like, it's amazing.
Other than that, he might be a very nice guy.
Other than that, he's a nice guy. Good.
Look at
all
this
these
one.
people.
Look at this one behind him.
Yeah, no, they all.
I mean, you might as well just go on OnlyFans at that point.
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing? You're a
Exactly.
fucking prostitute. You're a
Right.
prostitute.
Fucking prostitute. I mean, all of them. What, you don't think the people standing around him aren't thinking to themselves, is he really going there against this
Is he
guy?
really
I mean,
going to say that?
is he
Well,
really gonna
okay.
say that? All right. Great point. Yeah. Oh, wow. But yeah, there was actually, speaking of proven and unproven accusations, this was detailed, to a greater extent than previously in the new New York Times piece about the Epstein files, which I referenced in a previous segment here. Here's some new revelations about Donald Trump's alleged preferences, shall we say.
Of new details about the Trump administration's efforts to cover up the Epstein files this morning, and they are disgusting. John, I'm going to read to you just one small passage from this new report, then I'll explain the context. So, according to the New York Times, an Epstein victim named Sarah Ransom said the following. Ransom claimed that she knew a girl in Epstein's sex trafficking ring named Jen, who said she had sex with Trump. Ransom also claimed that Jen had told her that Trump had a predilection for nipples and that he had aggressively flicked and sucked hers. Ransom wrote that she had seen evidence when she shared a bathroom with Jen. Quote, "They looked incredibly painful as they were red and swollen, and I remember wincing when I looked at them," she wrote. Gross.
Yeah, gross. I'd say that's pretty sick shit when you have like a fetish for inflicting pain upon someone and derive a sexual pleasure from that. Again, an allegation not proven, perhaps not provable. Neither are the allegations against Graham Platner, which Donald Trump says they're proven stuff. He's a thug. He's horrible. Could you imagine if one of ours was accused of this? So I ask once again, and I mean this is not like a rhetorical question. Like, how are we taking this Platner scandal, quote unquote, seriously in this day and age where the president can be accused? I mean, dozens of times. I mean, he's in the Epstein files thousands of times. There are dozens of instances of women coming. How could we be at a place where this Graham Platner story is getting any oxygen? How do you not laugh at yourself if you're Mika Brzezinski? Asking him, so are there any other text messages that we should know about? Text messages.
Well, she's literally doing her job. That's her job.
It's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable.
Anybody who talks about economics out of bounds.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how they think this is going to be a thing that takes him down. Who knows? Maybe it will. Maybe there's something in the human psyche that I don't know. Is it because Trump presents as a belligerent asshole, so like this stuff is kind of on brand for him? Is that why this stuff doesn't take him down, and it seems to take some other?
Well, but it's
other
not
politicians
taking
down?
it's not taking him down. He had record turnout. In Maine.
I mean,
I think when you look at all the factors at play, that they can't make a case. Look, even, and this kind of surprised me actually, even Schumer and Jeffries held their endorsement after he won the primary. At the end of the day, they want that Senate. They're just not, if you can't get them to go along with the game, you're not going to be able to get enough momentum with the MSNBC people to go along with, yeah, no, we don't need the Senate. Let's keep Susan Collins in there. And that's another thing. He's running against Susan Collins.
Right.
So.
And and there's one more element that I just want to speak to, because I began this segment with a joke that we're going to be simping for Graham Platner, because we've gotten some of this feedback from people who...
We're only simping for Graham Platner because we're looking forward to 6 years of doing that voice with the RFK voice in conversation.
Yes, exactly.
Because
Yes,
I do a pretty decent Platner. Keaton's kind of got the RFK thing down. Come on, man. That's gold.
It's comedy gold. It is comedy gold. Yes. So we are conflicted in that sense. But, it's funny how, I would venture everyone to a person who is frustrated by our coverage of this Graham Platner scandal, really appreciates their favorite, content creators. We like to think we may be among them, who, spoke out against something like Russiagate, for example. Now, we weren't really around during the height of Russiagate, but remember what people... Do you remember how people smeared you when you debunked Russiagate? Remember how they said, well, you must love Donald Trump. You're carrying water for Donald Trump. You're simping for Donald Trump. And your retort was always, and it was ours as well, no, we're not pushing back on Russiagate because we love Donald Trump. We're pushing back on Russiagate because we care about the truth. And we think it's important to debunk insidious propaganda by bad faith actors with a sinister agenda. That's what this op against Graham Platner is. It's a propaganda campaign. It's an insidious propaganda campaign run by bad faith actors with an insidious agenda. That's what's happening. So whether you like Graham Platner or not is as irrelevant as whether you like Donald Trump or not. You didn't have to like Donald Trump to blow the whistle on what a bullshit story Russiagate was. What was that? It was ultimately warmongering. It was also ultimately greasing the public to, hate Russia because they were going to instigate a war against Russia using Ukraine as a proxy. That was a huge part of what all of that was about. Well, what do you think's going on here? We just showed you in that we did an hour piece about this, where the woman making these allegations wrote a college paper comparing the Israel-Palestine conflict to the Harry Potter books. She's been incessantly posting just deranged pro-Israel propaganda for well over a decade. She's being coached
there is
through
that
this
scene
process.
where Hermione circumcises the Weasley twins.
Yeah. She's being coached through this process by Bethany Mandel, arguably the most vile, fanatical Zionist on the internet. She led a group called Ladies for Kavanaugh. Her organization coached Susan Collins through her drafted statement voting to confirm Brett Kavanaugh. Like, how much more obvious could this be that this is a bad faith smear campaign in order to crush someone who may be a wrench in the Zionist machine? That is so obviously what this is. And you can like Graham Platner, you cannot like him, you can hold his military service against him or not. It really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. The point is, I think you have a responsibility to push back on these blatant, insidious, evil Zionist smears. And that is not a controversial thing to say when the target of those smears is someone like Thomas Massie.
Every time.
Every
time.
It's just not even an issue.
We've never gotten any pushback for any segment we've done.
Exactly.
In exactly the same direction about Thomas Massie or Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Right.
Or really any right-winger stands up against Zionism.
Right.
We've
So
never
when
gotten
you
pushback.
so when you have a fit about these segments defending Graham Platner against these smears, what you're kind of showing your ass on is that maybe your defense of Russiagate was a little more pro-Trump than you wanted to let on, because what's different? What's different, right? I mean, if you can defend Donald Trump against the Russiagate campaign, why can't you blow the whistle on this? And this is as obvious as it gets. This is even more obvious than Russiagate because, as we said, during Russiagate, yeah, it was pretty clear that the Russia narrative was bullshit, but there was suspicious behavior among certain Trump campaign apparatchiks. Turns out they were colluding with Israel, not Russia. So a lot of the facts were accurate. They just misdirected them away from the actual culprit. This is just obvious bullshit from jump. Now, maybe there are other text messages that he sent to other women. Maybe there are. But
I mean,
this one...
I don't care personally,
but I don't care personally. but as for this one, it's as obvious as it gets. I mean, it couldn't be more transparent. And to see the media run with this as if it's a real story, when the Times should have never printed those accusations in the first place, given the obvious conflicts of the person
of course,
who levied them. Yeah, so to me, it's a no-brainer.
They just endorsed Andrew Cuomo, serial molester Andrew Cuomo, who had to leave office in disgrace.
Right. Like, you can't just let the Israel lobby destroy whoever they want, whether you like them or not. Whether it's Thomas Massie, Graham Platner, or anybody else, you cannot just say, well, because we have certain reservations about this person, or because it would be too in conflict with this online personality that we have created for ourselves to ever go to bat for a Democrat under any circumstance. We're just going to let the Zionists have their way with this guy. To me, that's bullshit. To me, you have to fight them wherever they pick a fight. And this is one of the most bad faith fights they've ever picked. And so it has to be exposed as such.
Yeah, more broadly, I think there's a kind of philosophical conversation going on right now, in that you got Mamdani acting as this kind of avatar of the left, whether you like it or not. That is who people are looking at to see what the results of his policies are, right? And a lot of the public perception of left ideas and policies are going to rise or fall by his success or failure. Whether you like him or not, that is just a reality. And that is why I keep saying you better hope he succeeds, because most people are not sitting there poring over the fine nuances between Tankies and Trotskyites. They don't know shit about that. They don't care. Right. They're just going to see if this guy fucks up or not, and they're going to judge you by it. And with a guy like Graham Platner, so you have these people now who are getting momentum, who are speaking the language of basically social democratic policies, basically the Bernie kind of agenda policies. What I took away from China, I think is being maybe misinterpreted, and that's my fault for not expressing myself clearly enough. I came away from it realizing that if you really want those kinds of reforms, you need to be prepared for a long fight. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. You have to be ready for a long fight. And something that really did impress me when I went to these Communist Party museums, where this is their own history in their own words, right? This is how they're describing themselves. Their analysis of the revolution and the years before the revolution is not hysterical about the capitalist reformist parties, or what they would call the bourgeois parties. It's not hysterically vicious or vituperative about these parties. It's very rational. This represented progress from what we had before, but its failures proved that kind of an approach cannot ultimately address the problems of workers and capital. But we worked with them on this while criticizing them on that. They were able to do that. This is the Communist Party of China. You're leftier than the Communist Party of China. That made an impression on me. It also made an impression on me that they were not anti-academic or anti-intellectual, that they saw having academics and intellectuals as vital to a revolutionary movement, that they actually criticized an earlier attempt at an uprising in 1911 as having failed and being instructive, and that it was purely a worker movement with no academics or intellectuals, and it failed, and they felt that that was why. It is also a view on politics that is very centered on people and people's lives and improving their lives and preserving life. And when you look at the fact that the CPC was willing to work with the Kuomintang, who had murdered them, jailed them, suppressed them, to fight against the Japanese, set all that aside, and they certainly had reason not to. And then later on, had the Civil War when they were in a position to do so, and they won. That's what I took away from it, really. I took away, like, some people have observed, you changed since you got back from Asia. Yeah. It didn't make me less radical. It made me more, if anything. But it made me understand what's required if you want that kind of a revolution, because I saw an example of a successful one, and I read what the people who succeeded said about how they succeeded. And it was not by crying online about people not being as lefty as you are. It was by working with people where they could, the Frederick Douglass thing, seeing progress where it came and supporting that progress, and pressing their case all the while until finally they were in a position to take over the country. That is not the kind of instant gratification that politics by X trains people to. That is just a lot of empty nonsense. It's empty virtue signaling. It is not serious. It is not a serious politics. That's why every single person I have asked, what's your plan, has had no serious answer. They don't. They're never even asked that, because generally the people that they talk to are there for the same reason they are, to bitch and moan. That's what it's about. If you really, I don't think that's everybody, and that's who I'm talking to. If you're not that, then this is what I'm telling you. This is what I saw. It's a long-term thing where you're going to have to develop community, where you're going to have to develop cells, and you are sometimes going to have to work with the bourgeois party while at the same time critiquing its overall theory of politics. You're going to have to get intellectuals and academics who share that point of view. And you're not going to be able to rule all of them out of bounds on minor doctrinal disagreements the way that X encourages you to. You know what? A lot of people that you follow on X make a living doing that. It's not that hard to monetize your account on X. And you know what the algorithm rewards? Angry hot takes. That's what it rewards. That is antithetical to building movements. It is antithetical to building community. If you really want to see a revolution, like seriously, you want to see a revolution, you need to understand that's a generational struggle. When I say 100 years, I'm being hyperbolic, I think, given how quickly these economic circumstances are going to collapse and make no sense with the advance of AI. But at the very least, you're talking about a generational struggle. That's what you got to be in on. You're not going to have a revolution in the next 6 months. You're just not. It's not going to happen. Or in the next year, or in the next 5 years. It's not going to happen. So at that point, you got to decide if somebody's going to offer expanded childcare, and they're going to offer free rent, like or not free rent, but no increase in the rent, like Mamdani. Do you feel comfortable saying, fuck that guy? Like, do you feel comfortable getting in the way of those things? Like, you can critique working with private business for the public housing. You can criticize keeping Tish on as police commissioner, we criticize that. You can. But do you feel morally comfortable getting in the way of policies that improve actual working people's lives? Are you comfortable with that? We said when Kamala was running, if Kamala had come out against giving any further weapons to Israel, we would have voted for her because we're not the Palestinians being bombed. I would not personally feel morally comfortable saying, well, you know what? It's not good enough. You know what? You probably won't do it. For those people, that's who you do it for. That's who you, and what I found with the CPC and their history in their country was that they tended to make the choice that would benefit people. And when you have a left that is driven by pounding your chest on social media and getting rewarded for it by the algorithm, the actual function of a left to help people, that part seems to get lost.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you just take stock of what has happened in the world since this great awakening that everybody's undergone this past decade, what has actually happened in the world is things have gotten much, much worse. I can't think of any real world victory that the online left has been able to claim in real life. Not one. Not a single one. And so that is something. I mean, that says
things are
something.
worse than when we started.
Much worse on every level. Like you don't even have a silver lining. Like there's nothing you can point to.
And if you want to be in a position that when the shit hits the fan, as I think we all know it's going to, you can win. You need to do that work now, and that work has not been done. When I read that, I think it was Vanity Fair. I talked about this long before most people even knew who J.D. Vance was. There was an article in Vanity Fair that talked about the new right, and it was talking about Curtis Yarvin and that whole world that a lot of us are familiar with now. And at that time, that article was introducing people to this for the first time. That you have this whole world of weirdo monarchists and Silicon Valley oligarchs who are having conferences and meetings. And I read that. I said, these guys are going to win because they're assuming that society this way is not sustainable, and they have a plan for how to take over. The left has no plan for how to take over, and they have no infrastructure like what was described in that article. You want to be in a position where if society collapses tomorrow, it's not just going to collapse into a Curtis Yarvin hellscape. You need that infrastructure. That's what you should be focusing on.
Yeah, and I think you're decades behind, which you're decades behind on that, which is why I say that the right are the real accelerationists, whether you think they are or not. They're more accelerationist than you, because at this point it's general. Look, I don't think you're too far off with that 100 years thing. I think by the time you would even talk about any kind of sort of cataclysm like that, the dynamics of human life are going to be so fundamentally different from the way they are now that it's a lot of this theory is unfortunately not going to be particularly useful, right? I mean, what does your theory book say about a world where labor is not in demand? Labor is not needed. Like what is that? Like you're already too late for a lot of this. I'm sorry to say, if that's your thing, and I think that even disregarding that. Yeah, man, you're decades behind. You're decades behind, which means that the only chance of survival, much less victory, that you have lies in the ties that bind people. And so if you don't center your goals around the immediate needs of people, then I think you're digging your own grave. I really do. I mean, that it strikes me as very destructive. And so, I think, that would be my response to everything that you laid out there. In terms of, the narrower question, I see some of it in the chat right now. So you're saying you can vote the Israel lobby out? Who said anything about voting? I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I didn't vote for Donald Trump, but I pushed back on Russiagate. I didn't vote for Donald Trump in 2016. I didn't vote at all in 2016. I voted green in 2020. I voted green again in 2024. It's not about who you vote for.
And I
That's the whole
voted Dave
point.
Chappelle in 2016.
Yeah, exactly.
What a disappointment he turned out to be.
Since when? So what are you saying? That because we debunk this obvious propaganda op, that means we're all in for Graham Platner and telling you all to go out and vote for Graham Platner? I don't even know if anybody in Maine watches this fucking show. They probably have better things to do. They have
Only Stephen King.
They have beautiful scenery in Maine. I think they're more
Only
outdoors.
Stephen King and Tucker.
Yeah, Stephen King and Tucker are our two Mainers in the audience. It doesn't matter who. That's totally besides the point. It's completely besides the point. And these were all concepts that everybody was perfectly comfortable with when the person in question was a Donald Trump or a Thomas Massie, right? You were perfectly capable of saying, "Hey, I'm not saying vote for Donald Trump. I'm just saying Russiagate is bullshit." Well, it's the same exact thing here. I don't get what the disconnect is. I mean, I do. It's about branding. It's about branding. You've branded yourself reflexively hostile to anyone with a D next to their name, such that they can never be defended under any circumstance, even if they are under attack from the most insidious pieces of shit on earth, like these Zionist fanatics who are coming out for this guy now. And that's what it is. But it's branding, and branding it's abstract at the end of the day. It's not real.
It's hard to resist it. It's human nature, but you should never become reflexive and knee jerk about anything.
Right.
And that takes constant self-reflection.
Yes, indeed. All right, let's take the rest of these super chats, and then we will close the lights on this stream. I don't know if you want to push your thing back like 5 minutes. We'll probably be done in like 10 minutes, right? Because we got a bunch of chats here.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, we can get through them now. Yeah, maybe I can get through them now. Let's see. Stoop sign, Area 51 Jew. Thank you, Stoop sign. Appreciate that. Vientikis, good idea. I'll make it a game where I can teabag a random page in each book, and you have to guess which one. Yeah, good one. Stoop sign, that ad was very close to the South Park parody of luxury living. Yes, it kind of was. Professor Brown note, I guess the Shmuley scented dick candles lost the board vote. Ah, man. Ha. Paltrow and Gabby Giffords are first cousins. Is that right?
Are they? I didn't know that.
Did not know that. Ron Contra, revolution gotta have style. Goop style. Goop revolution. Cigarettes are $20 a pack here, but cherry filtered cigars are $26.20 a carton. Cherry cigars. Oh boy. Stoop sign, they would chant puto at Trump in Mexico City. Yeah, they would. Kenman, if you say left, do you mean progressives or left?
I mean, it depends on the context.
Depends on the context. Yeah, it depends on the context for sure. But again, those differences provide for a lot of online fodder. They don't provide for much in the way of real world results. Like they just don't.
Yeah, more heat than light.
Point to me where they do. Like, point to me where they do. Point to me an example where that has actually mattered in real life over the past 10 years. One issue, one action, one anything. Like, to me, it all just seems very academic, ironically enough. Keaton's Levin is sweet, sort of 30s radio announcer, but South Parky. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. My favorite description of Levin was Michael Savage, who hates Levin. He says he sounds like Groucho Marx's grandmother getting a hysterectomy without anesthesia. Just search Israel vacation commercial Christmas. Okay, we'll do. Thanks, Yantikis. To be fair, a tampon is thousands of times more porous than a jade egg. Most TSS is from tampons. I've heard that.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
think the jade eggs are made to do that.
Yeah, I think that's. I don't think. Yeah, exactly. Who sent you? Is RFK in the audience? Actually, tampons are more likely to cause toxic shock syndrome than jade eggs. I'll have you know.
Very often, if you're into felching, they're extra absorbent. You can get more liquid out of them.
Yeah. Mark Pugliese, I discovered Bukowski totally by accident in Martha's Vineyard, of all places. I was a letter carrier at the time. He brought this book of his called Post Office. He was spot on.
I read that book. It was funny.
Oh, awesome. Vientikis, you think RFK Jr. ever felched one of those eggs? Also, you'll learn about electrical inverters in a certain book that's around somewhere. Yeah, I'll learn all about them. Thank you. French Laundry, thanks for the super sticker. Oh, George says, yeah, it saddens me seeing Morgan on billboards. It really sucks. An inverter is a single-room air conditioner, more efficient than wall units. Central air is unusual here. Thank you, oh, George. Yeah, you may want to push that back while you still have time. Do you have
5
time?
minutes?
Yeah, push it
Yeah,
back.
I can.
We'll do it quickly because it's 3:13. You don't want it to start before you can send it back. Did you guys know that Thomas Edison was a secret Mexican? Look it up. Too bad he was evil, but yeah, dude was secretly Mexican. Interesting. Oh, George says window units, I mean. Thank you, oh, George.
Can you do 320? Or
Yeah, you can.
You have to do it on the 15s.
Just just enter it manually.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Have you seen the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode where Elon Gold recommends Larry to attend a Barry Weiss party and Larry gets annoyed and slams the door? No, I didn't see that one. Was that when would that have been? When would that have been? Is that a new one?
Too late.
That I didn't watch? Oh, all right. We'll hurry up. All right. P. Walker, Mika proves my position that no one has confused a pole with a smart person since Copernicus. Thank you, P. Walker. Happy Donut Farts, DJT, love Paltrow, but Ivanka's Vajayjay candle got her beat, and soon she'll be debuting from her Cezanne line, authentic Albanian baby foreskin cream line. Just you wait. Except for that one lobster ball pinching video, says Stoop Sign. Matt from Wisconsin, anti-Zio governor candidate Francesca Hong now leading in the Dem primary. Hit pieces are coming out trying to shame her for $30,000 credit card debt. I believe it.
Of course.
Michelle Wolf called the media out on the bullshit with Trump. Michelle Wolf also came out for Palestine pre-2023. Oh, I didn't know that. Interesting. Platner, there's no concerning picks out there that will hurt the campaign. In fact, if those picks were released, it's just say my poll numbers would skyrocket with the ladies. Haha, good one. Apart from that, he's a nice guy. So Graham is Mexican. Got it. Sarah Ransom being an Epstein name is well fitting. Yeah, I had not heard of her before, but Ransom, yeah. Elizabeth Warren, authentic Cherokee hair tampons. Best voting strategy since 1776. None of the above. Thank you guys for that. Appreciate that. Mark Pugliese, apparently the sans culottes to the French Revolution would get pissed off if people's speech sounded too intellectual. Thank you, Mark Pugliese. Noah Goop says, are you telling me 20 Maoists on X aren't going to lead a popular overthrow this year? Yeah, no, it's, yeah, that is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying, my friend. Stoop Sign says, I've always been a leftist, but I've watched the Prime movie McVeigh with a sense of respect. It made me realize I'm far more anti-government than left. Yeah. I mean, that's why I thought maybe I'm an anarchist of some kind. I mean, I think these philosophies in their purest forms are all unworkable. So the closest thing I am in real life is probably like a left libertarian. That'd be my guess. Apparently the sans... Oops, sorry, got that one. Leftists should visit this website, 11demands.org. Thank you very much. Mark Pugliese, since 2011, Occupy have been saying we have to have one movement. If we had done that then. Yep, and that got sabotaged. That got sabotaged for exactly that reason, Mark Pugliese. Second the chat on 11 Demands. Excellent rallying point. Thanks, Mark Pugliese. Stoop Signs has visited Portland, Maine in 2015. I had a smoking hotel room and some great lobster rolls and good halal. Portland's supposed to be an awesome city. Yeah, I want to get there. That's the other reason I'm pulling for Graham Platner, because I'd like to cover the campaign as an excuse to visit Maine. You know? After 10 years of being smeared by corporate Dems, people develop Dem derangement syndrome. Even in a Dem you agree with 90% on policy, they hate them just because there's a D behind their name. Thank you, EO Shush. Appreciate that. All right, folks. Appreciate you all. You will be on YouTube or shortly redirected to Russ on the Road. If you're watching on Rumble, you will not be redirected there, so you have to go there manually. YouTube.com/Russ on the Road. NYC premiere is getting started right now. It should be on the countdown. So we're going to close the lights here and enjoy Russ in Hong Kong as a little post-show palate cleanser into your weekend. Thanks to the YouTubers, thanks to the Rumblers, thanks to the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. We'll see you back here Sunday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, thanks very much for today. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.